say that.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Well, ho, howdy doody. What are you guys doing? This is GreenBean. Welcome to the Thursday thick of it. I come to you from a basement in Baltimore. That's right. We're back on the road. We are traveling this weekend for many holidays, and I am currently in a radiologist's office in Baltimore, Maryland. How does that sound? I hope everybody's having a great day. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about with the New York Jets. We have terms like the juggernaut Jets flying around. We have guys like Rich Cimini saying stuff that actually might make sense. We have defenders of Connor Hughes wearing armor and bright, shiny swords coming up to defend their champion. All sorts of fun stuff to dive into tonight. But before we do, I would be lonely if I didn't bring on our friend Frankie from Flatbush. Good morning, sir.
Hello, and welcome to the Thursday thick of it, where we gripe intelligently. We are 2 weeks out from the fateful day when we will know who falls, who rises, who did we get, how many pitchforks should we have to storm Joe Douglas's house with, and all of that good stuff starts in 2 weeks from tonight. And how can you not love it?
Well, you know, Frankie, I'm seeing a lot of people are expressing that they're nervous. Like Stephen Ingalls says he's nervous. I've been seeing that today. Are you nervous? Are you kind of freaking out? Like, this is the first year in a little while where we can honestly say, no matter how confident you are about which direction we'll go, you can really say you don't know what the hell they're going to do. We don't. Does that turn into nervousness for you?
Well, if you look at the track record of Joe Douglas, I don't know how you couldn't be excited rather than be nervous. I mean, if we had McCagnon or Idzik or one of these bums, okay, then you'd be nervous because they're going to blow it. But, I just don't think that Joe Douglas is going to blow it. I mean, and think about it. All we really need is 2 or 3 guys to work out in the draft, if at a minimum. And this is the bare minimum. Let's say we only get 3 guys to work out in the whole draft, the edge and the wide receiver and the safety work out, and everybody else is a bum and they're terrible. Well, we still got a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Still got a pretty good team because we can rush the passer, we can cover people, our offense is much improved from free agency. And then if we get the wide receiver, it turns out good. There's not many holes in that offense anymore.
That's a good way to put it. With Joe Douglas in charge, look, you might not love Joe Douglas. You might not be convinced. You might not believe, like, what I've seen so far leads me to believe that we're going to be able to turn it around. But you have to, in my opinion, you have to be able to settle on this has been a vast improvement from the accountants and idiots that we've had running this organization for just so many years. And I think that's a good way to put it. I'm excited too. I don't know if I'm nervous. I think maybe a little bit nervous because I'd hate to see them go with a route that I think wouldn't help the team, but I can't imagine too many routes that we wouldn't help the team. That's the thing that's so cool about it. Now, before we dig into it any deeper, I want to say hello to some guys in the chat, Frankie. John Hepburn came in here first, 6:21 p.m. He was hanging around in here, floating around. That's an hour and a half early. He's just, hey, what's going on? So I said hello to him back then. Owen's here. The Jet Show. Mr. Show is back. Good to see you, man. Hawk is here with Stephen Ingle and Slaugo. Philip Allen is here. Harry's back. What's up, Harry? And Jake's here. He says, hurry up. Get Frankie in here. I'm tired. I just crawled into bed. I want to sleep, but we'll wind up arguing in here against my best interest for 3 hours. Yeah, right. If Frankie doesn't come in here, I'm going to end up falling asleep. So get me on here and so I can stay up too late. Yep, I'm with you. I get it, Jake. Nick Draw is here. What's good with you, Nick? Anthony G, Adam S, Gary B. Yeah, man, you guys are the best. Jets forever, bringing the green love. That's how he's starting. Now we know full that Jets forever, that's just the way he starts. He's about to tell us everything that we think sucks and that every player that you like is a bust, except for Hamilton and Sauce. That much we know. If we get one of the two, he's going to be happy. Duncan McLean is here, man. Curly Norman's back. Mitt Flair, KJ Frederick, Harlan Abraham. What's up? Greetings to you, Harlan. Mikey Miles is back. Robert Killian. It's good to see you guys, man. It is. B2B is back, along with Josh Serrano, Robbie Oak, D. Santana, Julio Vargas, and Mutt Viles. I see all the rest. I could do this all night, but who wants me to, really? You know what I mean? I'll say hello to one more. Mindy Adam, Frankie sporting Gotham Green. I don't think that's Gotham Green, Mindy. I think that's more Irish green, lime green. What do you got?
Actually, this is from the Peter McManus Cafe, which some people may know in Manhattan. They were going through some tough times during virus times. You know, they were having a hard time. They had to close. They couldn't have their business. The bar was closed. So they started selling merchandise. So you can go and get some Peter McManus Cafe merchandise, especially if that's a place where you tip back a few. Over the years, they needed some help. So I bought a sweatshirt. At least
there you go. That's right. It is. And now here's the thing. If everybody did that, they'd be fine, right? That's all you got to do. Spend $20 bucks. You know, if you
nice
like a spot,
and it's a nice green sweatshirt, goes with my Jets hat. Perfect. Great.
There you go.
It even has
that works
on the back. It's a really nice one.
Now, where is that? You said it's in Manhattan, Peter McManus pub?
Yeah, it's in downtown Manhattan. I think folks would know it. I think it's in downtown Manhattan. Now, I haven't been back to Manhattan in many years, but you know, still support my places that I used to go.
Right, your places of observation. So yeah, man. You know what? I used to go to the Blarney Stone in Manhattan, and I used to tell people I like the Blarney Stone. And then it was about 2 years after going to this Blarney Stone and telling people about it. Sorry, Frankie, that I realized there are 566 Blarney Stones in Manhattan. And I didn't know that. So I'm like, the Blarney Stone. Everybody go, I love the Blarney Stone. And we're talking about places on the opposite side of the island. But yeah, we used to drink. We used to hang out in Manhattan. I used to go to Manhattan and drink since I was 17 years old, Frankie. That's why I made the trip to Manhattan, because I could tip back a few whiskey sours. That was my drink when I was 17 years old. I just wanted to order something that the bartender had to mix, not pop. And because I could pop my own, right? I could open my own beer cans, but I used to go to Manhattan right around 42nd Street, tip back a few whiskey sours and go pay to look at things. Let's just leave it like that. But good for you.
People don't remember. People don't remember what Manhattan used to be like.
No, it was crazy. Now, so you were in Brooklyn, right? So you were coming from.
That was tricky. That was tricky.
Yeah.
Because the cabbies don't want to take you back to Brooklyn. I'll tell you that much. If you're drinking in Manhattan and you say to a cabbie, take me back to Brooklyn, they'll say, no, get out of my car. What are you talking about? I need to stay in Manhattan and keep, circling around the island here.
They want nothing to do with that. The extra $3.
Yeah. They're like, nope. So then you take the subway and it's like, being on the subway.
Different time, man. Listen, I was on the subway one time. Check this out. I went to Central Park years ago. I used to buy, I know every story I have has to do with drugs. It's just the way that it was for me. As you guys know, I'm clean and sober, but I used to go buy acid off of this hippie in Central Park. All right. So I was taking the subways and I kind of got off my route and everything. And I literally watched these two guys. Now I'm like 16, 17 years old, long time ago. I watched these two guys take out knives and stab a homeless guy that was laying on the, and there were people everywhere. Nobody could give two shits. That it was a crazy place, Manhattan.
I've had experiences where I got on a train and there's a dead guy on the train.
Yeah.
And then he smells of urine. So like somebody saw a dead guy and decided to pee on him. That's New York City for you. That was their thought. That was their thought process. Oh, there's a dead guy here. Wait, but I got to pee.
Nobody will mind.
He doesn't care. He's dead.
This is great. This is great. Thank you, God. Yeah. Thank you, God, for bringing me this carcass to urinate on. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was a different place. Coming from New Jersey, as a lot of our listeners do, you'd come in from New Jersey, let's say the Lincoln Tunnel. The second you came in to Manhattan, you arrived right there on 42nd and 8th, and it was utter mayhem. Like it was the window washers, it was the beggars, it was the prostitutes. And it was like, that was your introduction. Hello, welcome to New York. And all these families would be coming in. You have to get through that gauntlet to get to the tree to see the Rockefeller Center. It was a different world, man. Now it's all cleaned up and all that. So Mumtaz checks in and he has a super chat. Thank you, Mumtaz, for getting it started early. He says, GreenBean, save me from horrible mocks. Jordan Reed gave us 2 running backs. Kuiper has us trading up for 275 pound. He's 289 though, Mumtaz. Let's let you know. But Linderbaum and anything less than 5 quality starters is 100% failure to me. Joe Douglas better not overthink it. So he doesn't like that 3 starters madness, Frankie. He wants 5, and with 9 picks, I think it's possible, right? But what do you think about these mocks? I saw the Kuiper trade up. I saw the Reed thing. What do you think of that? 2 running backs. Now, what rounds? I don't remember what rounds. I think it started in the 2nd round, right? Didn't he grab Breece Hall in the 2nd? And another running back. So what do you think of these mocks? You think at this point they're just like, hey, what didn't I say yet? You think that's what didn't I say? I didn't say 4 running backs. Let me say that.
One thing I do have to give some of these people who do these mocks is I'm sure they're not like super familiar with the Jets roster. Like they don't look at our roster like we do and know every practice squad player and know who did what and who got playing time, and Kenny Yeboah did better against the Buccaneers in that one game, and so maybe he could be something. They don't know that. We know that. We look at the tape. We watch it like fanatics. We're watching every second. So they don't know. They don't know that really we have our backup center. If we're thinking about taking a backup, his name happens to be Dan Feeney.
Yeah.
But we have a backup center and a backup guard, and we have GVR, and we know their backups, and we know who the backup tackles are, and we know all of that. And so these guys, especially when it gets to the later rounds, they don't know what we need and what we don't need, and how many times we were in 4-2-5 versus a 4-3, and what Jason Pinnock was doing late in the year. They don't know. We do. So I got to give them a little bit of slack just because we're the Jets. They're not watching us that intensely. They're not exactly focused on what the hell the Jets are doing. We have 6 wins the last 2 years. They're not exactly so familiar. So I got to give them a little bit of slack with that. I saw some crazy stuff from Dane Brugler even too. But 2 running backs makes no sense. I mean, why would we take 2? 1, yes, we need 1. But we definitely don't need 2. And Linderbaum, I mean, I just don't see us using a premium pick on someone who would have to be a backup or to push a $10 million player into a backup status. You just don't do that. It's just not a good use of your resources. So I don't think it's for clicks. I just think they just don't know our roster very well. They don't know, that Mekhi Becton, they're not thinking about Mekhi Becton coming back, so they think we need a tackle. Well, Mekhi's coming back. I mean, pray to God. He's coming back, and they don't know necessarily how good George Fant is and how good he was last year and how much improvement he showed and all that. So they may think, oh, it's just a journeyman, George Fant. Yeah. Well, he improved a lot last year. We know that. We watch it. We know what's going on, but all of the analysts may not.
Well, and that's a good point. Like who really wants to watch us? Like even look, how many 4:00 games do we get? We only get 1 or 2 of those, prime time games. They're always, whoever's covering our games, like whoever we go, oh, why do we always get this guy? He sucks. You know why we get that guy? Because he's low on the totem pole, and the only people watching our games are the direct fans of each.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, not even us. Like it gets to week 12 in the season. They know even at our stadium, it's empty with Jets. It's only the other people. So, that's one of those things. And that's a good point. They don't really know because it's hard to maintain interest unless you're in love with it or, codependently sick with a particular team or whoever. Nobody's watching. They don't, like you said, George Fant, they just think we suck. They think, oh, who the hell's there left? Who cares? He sucks. Whoever it is, he sucks. They have no pass rush. They have no line. I saw Zach Wilson getting killed. Zach Wilson sucks, by the way. He's got no receivers. He sucks. Everybody sucks. So that's an excellent point. Now, I think one of the things, too, is that what I like about mock drafts, and this is what I find a lot of people get aggravated by this, but I actually like it. Like, I like these these pundits and these analyzers, I like to see them go outside of the box and do things that I wouldn't think about. Like my first reaction can sometimes be, give me a break. But I'll think about it. Like this is kind of why we do the Monday Night Mock. It's why we do all that stuff. It's why we have the options that we do. Everybody gets mad and goes, that would never happen. But what if it did? Like that's kind of what I do. I go, what if the Jets took 2 running backs? What if they traded up for it? Like if they traded back into the first, used a 4th round pick to get Tyler Linderbaum, what does that mean for the Jets? You know what I mean? So I like to think about it like that, Frankie. I like to explore thought patterns that I wouldn't create myself. And I go, ooh, what if that means this? What if that means that somebody wants to trade for McGovern and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I go with it.
Well, and the other thing, and this is for Mumtaz and everyone else. I see Mumtaz writes in with great comments all the time. So thank you, Mumtaz. We appreciate that. One thing to think about when you're looking at these draft analyses is how do they explain the pick? So in other words, I went into this a bit in one of the ones where it's like, if we take Sauce, okay, then what does that mean for Bryce Hall? Like I would like someone to write the explanation of, okay, we're getting Sauce Gardner. He's better than Bryce Hall. He's going to start. Here's what we're going to do with Bryce Hall. We're going to play him in the slot because he can play the slot because he has this, and this trait. We've seen it on film. Therefore, the Jets likely would put him in the slot. They'd move Michael Carter to the dime position or backup slot. And that's how that would work. So if they do that kind of in-depth analysis, I'm not saying that's exactly what would happen, but that kind of analysis where they say they're going to take this pick and that means they're going to do this, and this in this defense and this, and this in LaFleur's offense, then that's someone you should maybe pay more attention to. Because unless they know, if they just say, well, Coach Saleh is a defensive guy, so he's going to take defense, that's very surface level analysis. That's not really That's not really what and I've seen that. I think Peter Schrager
that's getting that. You know what that is, Frankie? That's getting through the assignment. That's what it is.
And it's like, and I understand it. You didn't watch all the Jet games. You didn't watch the all 22. I get it. You didn't watch the Jets all 22. I can't blame you. I've been watching it myself, and sometimes it's a little hard to watch.
Right. To be honest, like, why am I watching this?
Some of these games, the Buffalo game, I'm like, oh my goodness. The Tampa Bay game though was fantastic.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that. So and they don't even go into like, this is Ulbricht's defense. It's not Saleh's defense. Saleh is the coach of the whole team. Ulbricht is the defensive coordinator. And yes, Saleh has influence over it, of course, but he has influence over the whole team, and Saleh has to think about the whole team, special teams, offense, defense, everything. The kicking game. So, right. so when you see that, like, so Saleh is a defensive coach and therefore he's going to do this, then you go, all right, that's surface level analysis. But if you see somebody breaking down the scheme and who works for, like, which one of some of the edge players and defensive line players would be great for New England, but they wouldn't be great for us because we run a different defense. Totally. So they might be great up there, but if they came to us, they'd be useless. They're not going to be able to do it because we do something different. So you got to look for that type of stuff.
Yeah, agreed. And that's another good point. It's like when you look at their little blurb, a lot of times they have the little blurb, right? And if they say, well, Robert Saleh wants to get it for his defense, it's like, dude, they drafted the top 4 picks for offense last year. So, clearly there's already all the data we have about a Saleh run team is the opposite of that. So who knows, right? But when there are some guys who say some good things and you can see, but again, all this stuff is mock drafts, especially the ones before free agency, before the pro days, before the combine, and all that shit. They're just talking. You know what I mean? It's just talking. And then if we know that, you can be fine with it. Again, I like this stuff because it helps me to think outside my own box. Like, look, we all have our own opinions. We all have a viewpoint, a vantage point. Like from where I sit, I see it this way. But from where Frankie sits, he could see things the exact opposite way. And if I'm not willing to listen to that, to at least explore it, then I'm just going to be shut down. It's like we were on the Tuesday stream, and I'm sure he'll be in here tonight too. On the Tuesday stream over at Jets Talk 24/7 with O'Leary, Ryan, and myself, the Talking Jets panel, we had a 2.5-hour show. For 2 hours and 15 minutes of that show, there was a conversation going on in the chat that if we don't take a wide receiver at 10, then the Jets don't know how to build around Zach. And if anybody supports not taking a wide receiver at 10, they don't want to build around Zach. Now, we talked a lot about receiver talent and reaching for need, and we explored every possible angle to explain. It's not even that, like, for myself, I'll speak for myself. It's not that I don't want a receiver at 10. What I'm saying is the receiver at 35, if you have the receivers kind of penned into a similar tier, and you feel strongly that you can get a similar talent at 35 that you can at 10 for one position, and you can't at another position, you're more than likely to take the other position. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to build. And we couldn't get past it. We could not get past it. There was a literal inability to absorb anything other than the person's thought. And that's the thing. And it's like, and that's obviously okay too. I don't even, who are we, right? But if we're in a forum to discuss things, which is really what we're doing here. Like, I get guys all the time, they go, who gives a shit? I'm like, I don't know. You're here. Like, this is what we're doing here. We're here to talk about this. We know we have no control over this shit. Like, I wish I could have, if I can have 2 minutes in the war room, I think I would change everything. That's what I think. 2 minutes. Just give me a 2-minute microphone and I could go in there and I could change lives. But we don't even get that. We get nothing. We get to sit out here and critique and philosophize and all this shit. And then we do everything. It seems so sound and they pick Kyle Brady. I mean, that's how it goes. You know what I mean? A lot of the time, they just don't do what we think. But the truth is, for us out here, we obviously like this stuff. We like to nitpick it and tear it down and observe it and analyze it. That's what we like. It's fun to us. So doing that, in order to like being analytical, you have to know how to analyze. Like, you have to look at all the pieces. Like, that's part of being analytical. If you just go in there with one opinion and never consider another, you're not called an analyzer or whatever. You're called a steamroller. You're an asshole. That's what it is a lot of the time. You're just a butthole. So anyway, it's one of those things where around this time, I think people get up to here, Frankie. They're just like, I'm done listening to anybody. I know what I want. I know what the team needs, and that's that. So when these mocks come out now, we get ornery, man. We get touchy. But what do you think about that wide receiver thing? I want to talk a little bit about wide receivers tonight. And before I get to Timmy's super chat, I want to know, like, how do you feel about the wide receiver thing? Here we are. We're on the 2-week anniversary away from it, from draft day, 2 weeks from tonight. Wide receiver at 10. Number one, is that what you want? Number two, do you think that's the right move for the Jets?
I mean, the answer, the political answer is it depends how the board falls, but
yes.
That's not as exciting as saying something definitive. So I would think that we will go wide receiver at 10, and I'd be very happy with that. And by the way, we're going to get into this a little later. We have enough options that no matter who we choose out of the top tier, we're getting a really good guy, and I can prove it. Okay. But so we don't have to worry. If we go wide receiver 10, no matter if it's Drake London, if it's Garrett Wilson, if it's Jameson Williams, even if it's Chris Olave, any one of those guys is going to be a good player, and more. There's other guys too. So we're getting a good wide receiver if we go that way, whichever one of those we pick. Now, if we don't, what if we don't get a wide receiver? People will be very upset. Let's say we got Kayvon Thibodeau at 4 and Kyle Hamilton at 10. Say Hamilton falls, we pick him at 10. We say we can't live without Hamilton at 10. We got to get him. We got to get the edge, Kayvon. So then we're going to get a wide receiver at 35. Well, at 35, you could get maybe a Jahan Dotson, maybe a Christian Watson, maybe somebody's going to fall. One of those guys, and they'll still be pretty good. And in that scenario, then we're going to go more 12 personnel. We're going to go more 22 personnel. We're going to be running the ball more. You know, in 12 personnel, I only need 2 wide receivers. That's all I need. And guess who they are? They're called Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. That's it. That's all I need on the field. That's it. And I got 2 guys now. CJ Uzama, who had a 78% catch rate last year, 78% of the time they threw the ball to him, he caught it. That's very high. And Tyler Conklin on the other side, who had a 72% catch rate, which is also very high. So I got 2 good receivers now, as opposed to the guys we had last year, as Tight ends. And what's the difference? I talked about this in my video, one of my videos this week. What's the difference if CJ Uzama catches the ball versus a wide receiver? You know, the yardage is still the same. If it's a wide receiver or a tight end and they go and score a touchdown, you still get 6 points. There's no extra points for a wide receiver doing it versus a tight end. It still counts the same.
Yeah.
So what's the point? And you're gonna have the Bengals used Uzama like this all the time. Let's put him out wide. Let's put him in a bunch, you know, in a triangle bunch formation. And one of them's 6'6" CJ Uzama, and the other one's Elijah Moore, and the other one's Drake London. Good luck. Good luck. How are you gonna defend it? And then we got Elijah Moore running around. Then we got Corey Davis running around. And so, and if you cover all them, then I'm gonna throw it to Michael Carter out of the backfield. Good luck catching him when you're all downfield covering everybody, right? So,
or Zach just runs and starts to break this record.
You cover everybody, and you got everybody covered. Oh, good. Zach tucks it and runs 100 yards. See you later, touchdown. So, I mean, good luck. So, as long as Zach Wilson is accurate, which is the thing I've been harping on, you know, the one thing we got to make sure Zach is accurate this year. That's all. And, but if that happens, we're in good shape, and we're in good shape because of the acquisitions we made. Those 2 tight ends, people are underselling how important Conklin and Uzama are going to be. Oh, and by the way, our tight end 3 is Kenny Yeboah. Did you know he used to be a wide receiver? He did. Right. I know you know that, Greenbean, but he used to be a wide receiver. So we have a wide receiver skill set in our third tight end. Okay. Yeah. And we have a wide receiver skill set in that guy, and that we can use as well.
That's right. People get caught up. And that's the same thing that we get caught up with in the draft too. It's like we see a positional need and you think you have to get it. Like those are the thought processes that New York Jets GMs have suffered from in the past. Like, you know, we need a position. Now, it's not the best player here at this, but I need it, so I'll take it. And he ends up being a disappointment at that position because he wasn't supposed to be, you know, given that type of expectation and all that sort of stuff. So there is well, let me get to this super chat real quick. Timmy Lamb Jones, thank you, Timmy. He says, just a big thanks for great Jets content and insight during the draft season. Well, thank you, Timmy. That's awesome, man. We appreciate that. And that's what we like to do. So I'm just glad that you guys come and hang out. You know, shit, man, this is cool. You know, this is a cool thing we get to do here with you guys. It's like, you know, look, for years, and I mean this, for years, I was doing this alone. You know, I had one friend that gave a shit about stats, and, you know, and then there was the whole thing. Like I had to like buy extra, like detailed newspapers, like the Jet Press, and not the Jet, but what is it called? I don't know. There were like these Jet magazines, and I'd buy them and try to deconstruct deeper articles. And, you know, it was hard years ago. And now it's like, hey, we have this community of people that like this stuff, and we argue, and it's great. You know, it's like we discuss and we pick apart each other's opinions. As long as we stay cool, that's just like the best time I can have. So, Timmy, we're grateful that you're here, and thank you for that little shout out, man. I appreciate it. Now, Frankie, there is we'll get back to wide receiver and tight end as you know, but I wanted to comment on something going on in the chat. There is a discussion. It started with I forget who it was. Forgive me, but he said Seen is a better safety than Hamilton, and thinks that if we're going to take a safety, it should be Seen. Then Delhi came back and said, no, Hamilton is a better safety than Seen. Do you have any insight here, any input on the Hamilton versus Seen, or any safety for that matter? This particular conversation says Seen, but do you have a favorite safety in the draft? We do need one. We particularly need a free safety, and hopefully we get a really good one that can be here for a long time and cover the back end of our defense, maybe pick off some balls, maybe run some back to the end zone and all that jazz. You know, what fun that would be. Any thoughts?
Well, yes, I think Dele is correct. Every single professional evaluator that I've seen, every single one has Hamilton as number one safety. Now, Seen is very good. I'd love, so if we get any one of these five, Hamilton, Hill, Seen, Petre, Brisker, I'm happy. I'll take any one of those.
But not Brisker or Brisker.
And Brisker. And those are the top five. Those are the top five in Brugler's Beast draft guide. And I'll take any one of those five, really. So I think one of the reasons I don't have Hamilton as a lock for us in the first round now is because I do think we're taking a wide receiver. Like if we had gotten Allen Robinson in free agency, well, then we would take a receiver later, but we wouldn't in the first round. And then we would take, probably Hamilton and edge or something like that. But now, since we need a wide receiver, probably at 10, then in that first pick in the second round, I would pick a safety, and it would be whoever's available. Hill, Seen, Petrie, Brisker, one of those four, whoever's available, just take them. Kirby Joseph is also good. Kirby Joseph is a guy, if you want to wait, Stephen Engel is saying Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph is a guy, like if you want to take a chance and wait, he might be around in the third round. He might not, he might go before that. And so with that pick at 35, those four guys one of them is probably going to be there. So that's how you like to do it. Group them up and say, all right, well, at that 35, we're happy with any one of these four. And it's, almost impossible for them all to be gone. Whereas if you wait for Kirby Joseph, you might not get a chance to get him. So,
yeah. Well, and they might and that can apply to numerous guys, right? Like we have Daxton Hill, Jalen Petrie, Nick Cross. There's quite a few very good safeties. And it might not be necessarily Kirby Joseph that you're waiting for, but one of those guys, like Frankie said, that you have grouped up and you'd be happy with any one of them. More than likely you'll be able to do that. But I have to agree, Go Hangard is looks like he might be the one I was referencing initially. And he's saying, no, Seen is better. I have to agree with Deli and Jets Forever and the chorus saying Hamilton. Hamilton is one of my favorite players in this draft. And it's not just look, I obviously got drawn to Hamilton by some hype. I was actually at the end of last year. I started looking at Hamilton. And I gotta say, man, when you just watch him play, people like to point at numerics and stats and all that kind of stuff, and that's all important and everything. But when you watch games and watch how he takes things away as well, he's fantastic, man. And his length and reach and all those stuff, how much ground he covers, it's really quite unique. And I know, look, it's hard for us to be able to look at every player, right? And watch all the tape. And we all have jobs and lives and families. And this isn't what we do for a living. So it's hard to look at, 480 players and deconstruct them and watch all their tape. But when you pick a few guys in a position and do it, you can see the difference between Kyle Hamilton and most of the other guys. And I happen to like Seen. I happen to like Brisket. I happen to like Kirby Joseph. I like Nick Cross. Jalen Petrie. So I like these guys. I would be happy with them, but I would be ecstatic. I feel like Hamilton might be the closest shot to one of those guys that makes us mark as a safety, like an Ed Reed, like a Palomalu, like he's special, very different. But there's that play kind of, I don't know why, but I've seen it a lot the past couple of weeks of Ed Reed. He kind of, I don't know exactly what the play was, but he ends up running into this guy who hit him earlier or some shit. And he goes, "That's right, boy." And he just he lays him out. I guess they intercepted. He was blocking or some shit. And it's that was the difference. Ed Reed, when he was on the field, the way he acted was this is mine. You are not up to my stand. I'm going to beat you. And we haven't had guys like that in a long time. And that's how Kyle Hamilton strikes me. Not like a cocky, like a Jamal Adams, always talking, never shutting up. Not that necessarily, but just like that I'm better than you ability. He's so athletic and everything. So anyway, I think it would be fantastic if we ended up going edge and then Kyle Hamilton at 10, if he was to slide there. And then we got, a Christian Watson, a Jahan Dotson. I mean, I like both sizes for this draft. I don't know what the Jets want to do, but I like both of those receivers. So anybody like that, add them to our receiver room. Like Frankie said, we got tight ends. And I would be so happy because it's about adding freakish talent to the team. And we don't do that very often. Quinnen Williams has that potential. At least he was supposed to be. We don't know if he'll ever reach it. Mekhi Becton, 6'7", 360 pounds, animal. He's got that potential. But how many freaks do we really get? And it's like, so anyway, I think that's the difference, Go Hangard. And anybody who doesn't want Hamilton, I understand it. At the same time, I don't think there's really a comparable safety to him in this class. Not calling him perfect, but I think he's got the goods to be that guy over the next 2 or 3 years of, going into his NFL career. I don't think you're going to find a guy that has the impact he does. Truly special, truly special. So getting back to the wide receivers, Frankie, I want to take a look at these guys. Now, you think the Jets should go or will go wide receiver at 10, right? Isn't that what you said a few minutes ago?
Yeah, I think they will and should.
You think they will and should. Now, what about the idea of waiting till 35? Does that spook you? Like I was talking to Matt O'Leary about it, and he says it's not that he thinks that the talent level is so much different. He thinks it's different enough that waiting till 35 freaks him out. He doesn't want to do that with the wide receiver position. Is that kind of how you feel? You just feel like the drop off is a little too much?
Well, no, I'd look at it a different way. Look at what's happened this offseason with these wide receivers and what's going on. The top end wide receivers are making lots and lots of money. You got to pay these people. And
right.
So that's not good in terms of cap management. So if you could get a top tier talent in the draft, you have them relatively cheaply for 5 years. That's the attractiveness to me. And sitting at 10, you're guaranteed to get one of the top guys. We are, if we want a wide receiver at 10, it's almost definite that we're getting either London or Wilson or Williams, or you want to throw Olave in there. Some people do, some people don't. But let's say the top 3 is Williams, Wilson, and London. Jameson, Garrett, and Drake, London. Well, at 10, you're getting one of those. You group those up and you say, we're happy with any one of the 3. But at 10, I can get them. At 35, you have no idea, because there may be more teams taking wide receivers at the back end of the first round for the reason I just said. They want the 5th-year option now on a wide receiver. They don't need a quarterback or anything else so much as they need a wide receiver, and they need a cost-controlled wide receiver for 5 years rather than having to go out into the market and pay these guys, a ton of money. Let's just draft one and have the control for 5 years at a relatively, inexpensive price. So I think that's the thing that could cause a run for in the middle to late, first round, because you get that 5th-year option with them. And so that's what I'd be worried about more. I'd be worried about Dotson not being there, Watson not being there, nobody being there. And then we're left with Bo Melton, and it's like, we don't want Bo Melton in the 2nd round. We wanted Bo Melton in the 5th round, not the 2nd round. So you could miss out all completely on all these guys, because there could be a run. That's what I'd be worried about more than the talent drop off. Whereas at 10, you can get one of the top tier guys and be happy with whoever it is, whichever one is your favorite.
And just call it a day. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Grab your wide receiver at 10. But you know what happens? So like if there are so many wide receivers taken in the first round, that Bo Melton is the top guy, and I understand your point, but we're just going to explore it. I'm not being facetious or passive aggressive, right? I want you to know that. So, but if so many are taken, if there's a severe run on wide receivers for the exact reasons that you just outlined, you know what that does to the other positions, right?
Yeah.
You're now going.
We're getting Devontae Wyatt. We're getting, then we're getting somebody really good. We're getting Kyle Hamilton at 35.
Exactly. Right. You're going to get Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd, Devontae Wyatt, right? All these guys that are going to slide down. So either way you slice it, but again, it wouldn't, grabbing Nakobe Dean doesn't help the wide receiver position. And that's kind of the point. Now, I think that's unlikely. Like I did a thing where I went back over the past 6 or 7 years and you look over the wide receivers that slipped to the 2nd round. It's ridiculous. I mean, especially the 2nd and 3rd round, a lot of the first wide receivers, those wide receivers that slipped to the 2nd round, the first couple taken 2, 3, 4 are dynamic. Like it's unbelievable how good they are. Those guys that popped through. So everybody thought there was a better wide receiver earlier. They were wrong. And the guy that they got in the 2nd ended up being better. It happens all the time. Now, I don't know what that is or if that could happen this year, but this draft class looks to me like a draft class where that could happen. Now, again, I want to make sure that it's clear. I think the Jets, if we end up staying at 4 and 10, I think it is likely that we will take a wide receiver at 10. But I wanted to bring up a comment from someone that we kind of, look, we don't throw love at very often, and I'm not going to do it now either. But as Frankie likes to say, Dick Chimney, let me see if this is it. Is this it? Let me see. Yeah, okay. So he said he had a comment. I think it was answering a question. Now, take a look at this, Frankie. So Rich Cimini was asked by Reed, after aggressive attempt to trade for Tyreek Hill, do you foresee a wide receiver being selected at 10 overall? Now, listen to this. This might be the smartest thing I've ever heard him say, while I recognize that he's really just covering his ass and not saying anything. Okay? It's all present. So he says, assuming the Jets don't trade for a veteran by the draft, yes. Sounds like he's going to make a statement there. Yes, it's possible. It's a possibility. The top candidates are Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and perhaps even Jamison Williams. But it is not a sure thing, especially not with 2 picks near the top of round 2. With a deep receiver class, they could find a comparable talent in the second round. General manager Joe Douglas won't reach for need at 10 if better players are available. So I want to explore this with you, Frankie, and I'd love some help from the chat. And I see the super chats. I'll get to them in just a moment. I see Jake and Philip, I think. Thank you, Jeremy. I will get to those in just a moment. Don't fret. So about this comment, he says Joe Douglas, our general manager, will not reach for need. So what players do you think, Frankie, could be so much better at their respective positions than the wide receivers such as Garrett Wilson, such as, the ones mentioned here, Drake London, Wilson, Jamison Williams, and you can add Chris Olave, Traylon Burks, whoever. Which positions, which players would you think could encourage or inspire the Jets to leave wide receiver for 35, or maybe even a trade back into the first round, throw a 4th and get ahead of the Packers and Chiefs, that kind of a thing? What do you see as, and if you need help, I can pull up a big board or a player thing for you if you need help. But what do you see as a position and a player that could potentially move the Jets off of wide receivers so they're not reaching for need like Dick Chimney just said here?
Well, I think there's only a few possibilities here, right? I mean, if the bizarro world things happen, let's say Hutchinson falls to 10 somehow, he won't, but let's say some bizarro world thing happens and Hutchinson's sitting there at 10 somehow, we'll grab him. And same thing with Kayvon. If Kayvon Thibodeau's sitting there at 10, although I don't see how we would let him get past 4.
I was going to say,
personally,
right.
like we have some say in this, but somehow if Thibodeau's there at 4, let's say we took Hamilton at 4, I don't think we will, but we could, or let's say we took Sauce at 4, that could be something. We said, we need Sauce Gardner. We got to have him at 4. Okay, we take him. And then somehow Thibodeau falls to 10. Then we're taking Thibodeau. We're not, screw these wide receivers. We're taking Thibodeau where we need, right?
Right.
But I don't see us really doing that. I would think we'd take Thibodeau at 4 and then see if Sauce would fall. And then if not, then we get our wide receiver. So I think it's either one of those players. I mean, you'd have to think it would have to be KT, Hutch. Maybe if Trayvon Walker's sitting there, I don't know if all the edges go, but we took Sauce and then Trayvon Walker sitting there at 10. Maybe we would go Trayvon Walker, maybe, though I don't think so even. So that's the only way. But I mean, that's right. What Dick Chimney says is right. I mean, but he didn't really say anything. It's just
Isn't
obvious.
it funny?
So
It's funny.
basically Joe Douglas is going to do the best thing. Oh, wow. What insight.
It's anything.
You, Chimney. Thank
Right,
you. Here's your money from ESPN. Thank you for being the ESPN reporter that everybody who has something to do with ESPN, every time they have something to do with the Jets, they have to go to Dick Chimney. That's the deal.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Like
That's the deal. Well, right. He's their Jets guy. Totally.
ESPN Jets guy. So anytime, and it's frustrating. It's like, can we get somebody else's opinion in here? But that's what they pay him for. But
isn't it? But that's a funny thing. Like when you think I'm going to, I look at ESPN, if you think they're a respectable sports organization, that's all well and good. But as far as the New York Jets are concerned, it's Rich Cimini. That's what it is.
right.
ESPN is Rich Cimini, so that's all you're going to get.
Interesting here. This is Draft Tech, I assume.
Yeah, this one is Draft Tech, correct.
And
I also had tankathons. I have a few else up, but I figured I'd throw this at you.
But they have Kayvon all the way at 13.
Yeah,
boy,
it's a big move.
Yeah,
he was one up there on theirs at one point as well. Look at this lady dancing. I got to get her off. What was that? Get out of here. It's distracting. I know nobody's looking at the board. Yeah, they're all just looking at her. Get out of here. All right.
But anyway, I don't know what Thibodeau would have done or said to drop this far. I mean, what he put up a ton of weight. I mean, he's strong as an ox. I don't know what he could have done to go that far down, but nonetheless, I don't know. So that's the only way I would see it. I mean, I think we're going edge at 4, and then we're going to take a wide receiver at 10, and then we'll take the best safety available at 35. Then we'll take Breece Hall at 38, and let's go.
Yeah. Well, look, man, if you did that, right, look, there are so many exciting options. Like, you could literally go, there's a few ways you could go that would be so helpful and so exciting. It would change everything. And running back, the best running back in the draft in the second round is one of those directions. And I wouldn't be surprised at this point, especially with the way our free agency went. I see something. I see a direction. And it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. So real quick about this. So when you look at let's look at their top 10. All right. Just the only wide receiver they have in there is Garrett Wilson. Right. So he's the only guy that they're saying. Now, a lot of obviously big boards are very, very different. Up here, it's very similar, but there's still going to be some shuffling and all that. And you see there's one safety. There are 3 edge, or really 2 edge rushers. There are 3 offensive tackles, or wait, 1, 2. So 2, a cornerback. So there's quite a few things. Now, which position do you think we wouldn't go wide receiver, right? Maybe safety. We need a safety. I know people are talking about the offensive tackle. I would be blown away if they decided to go offensive tackle. For me, I don't see it. So I think that removes 2 of these guys. You have the edge rushers, but we're going to take one at 4. So at 10, I mean, who's really here other than the wide receiver? Really? I mean, you got the linebackers, but they have linebackers. Look at this. Devin Lloyd way at 24. Now, you could take you could take him at 10 if you want, and if obviously their ratings are going to be different. They have Nakobe Dean down here at 33. Now, do you want to start grabbing guys if they have a similar rating system? Of course, it's very different, and this doesn't have the tiers present and all that stuff. But if you would think about if the Jets have a similar rating system here, you got guys, you're really left with very few options. And the only one look, Sauce Gardner, right? You have Sauce, you have Garrett Wilson, you can go with defensive tackle if you want, and you can go Kyle Hamilton. I mean, I don't see too many other options. Do you? Actually, there's 3 edges. Or no, only 2. They only have 2. Right? Yeah, 2. Crazy. Trayvon Walker. So does that make any sense to you? Like, does it seem like the best play, if this was their board, the best player available would be a wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you could say is maybe Sauce falls and you think Sauce is so much better than Bryce Hall. Like, here's my question also for people who are saying we're going to take Sauce Gardner. How much better is Sauce Gardner than Bryce Hall? How much better? He's better, but how much better? Is he 70% better, 80% better, or 5% better? Because we got a lot of needs on this team. And if all I think
the sauce heads think he's 100% better. That's what they. That's what
he's
they
100% better. Then maybe you go, okay, that's a big enough improvement to go right. to justify it. But if he's only 5% better, say, or 10, then we got a lot of holes on this team. We got a lot of improvements to make all over the place. And so I wouldn't want to improve the cornerback position by 5% when we could improve the edge position by 100% or safety by 100%, something like that. So, that's another way to look at it too.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, it's an interesting exploration. I mean, this is one of those things, like, as I try to head into draft night, which, by the way, we're going to, as you guys know, we're going to have the biggest shindigaloo. If you're online and you don't go to Jet Talk 24/7, you're going to be missing out. tons of guests, tons of giveaways. I mean, we had 60,000 live people last year. So it's one of those situations, man. It's an absolute blast. I'll be running the chat in many respects on the show, but as we start to kind of settle in and move toward the draft, for my own psyche, I'm trying to get a true understanding. All right, I have all my opinions. I broke down my tape. I've looked at this guy, that guy. Now I want to say, okay, where are we with this? What do I really see as potential? And then we'll do our predictions. And Frankie, I gotta sneak in some suspicion here. I'm gonna be 100% right on every fucking pick in the 32. I think I'm gonna. What do you think?
I mean, what's the historical accuracy of that, GreenBean? I mean, come on.
Up to this point, there's very little to substantiate that. All right. So, okay, let's look at some super chats. But that's the interesting point about the wide receiver crew and the people who think it's really going to break down to where they have these wide receivers ranked and how much of a need is it? Was Tyreek Hill such an opportunity that they shot for the moon, or was Tyreek Hill the tip of an iceberg where it was like, no, that's our need and that's why we were going to pay for it? And then we'll get into I heard some really interesting stuff on moving the chains this week. I hope we have time to explore as well. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. So Jake, thank you for the super chat, my friend. He says, Mims is going to come back this year. I saw Frankie's video, which I saw the thumbnail for Frankie's video. I haven't watched it yet, Frankie. And I apologize. I meant to. I was actually excited about it when you talked about it last week. So I didn't watch it. So forgive me. But he says, not taking one at 10. I would hope to trade back and get Williams, if anyone. So what is that? What did you say about Mims real quick? Did you support the idea of Mimsy coming back and lighting our hair on fire?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that, but I would say I'm very optimistic about Mims. What you see on tape really is that it's not an effort thing. Like, it's not an effort thing. Anybody who says it's an effort thing, you're wrong. Watch the tape. He's putting in amazing effort. In fact, so we looked at the Jacksonville Jaguar game. We had Denzel Mims blocking number 91, the defensive end on Jacksonville, Smoot. We had Denzel Mims blocking him on a running play a couple of times. We bring him into the wing formation, I call it. I don't know if that's right. I call it the wing. He's right behind the offensive line, and he's there. And I'm like, what is Denzel Mims doing there? That's like where a tight end goes. What's going on?
Oh, here? Right, like an H-back kind of. Yeah.
He's there, and we do a running play, and his assignment is block 91, Smoot, who's a very large man. If you know Smoot, 91 on Jacksonville, very large, and he does a passable job blocking him, and he's proud of himself, and he's doing the flexing muscles and I blocked your ass kind of thing. Yeah. And so he's into it, is what I'm saying. And it's, we might say, why is Mike LaFleur have Denzel Mims blocking a defensive end? That I can't tell you. I don't know. But I can tell you that that was the assignment. He did his assignment, and he did well enough to keep Smoot away from our running back. Our running back had like a 7-yard gain. And so that's the kind of thing that makes me go, all right, he's putting in the effort. He's doing what we're asking him to do. And most of the time when he runs his routes, Zach just didn't have time to find him. He was like the third or fourth read. And as we know, a lot of these games, we had Feeney in there. We had, GVR in there. We had all these bums. And he didn't have time. The line broke down. He looked at his first, second read. You can't find him, not open. And then he either had to scramble or was getting sacked. And Denzel Mims is trying to run a 9 route or some kind of deep post or something. And there was no time to find him. But a lot of times he's open. Like on the play that Zach Wilson had that amazing run down the right sideline, Denzel Mims was wide open in the middle of the field. And it was just at the moment he was breaking open, and you see it right on film. He's getting open right at that moment. The line breaks down. Zach has to go out. I got to get out of here. And Zach makes the right call. He escapes and runs for that amazing run. And by the way, Denzel Mims is downfield blocking. And so it's not an effort thing. So I don't know if he's going to be good, but I'd be optimistic. It's not an effort thing. And Denzel Mims is very cheap. He also makes $1.3 million this year. You can't find a wide receiver of his skill set at that price. You can't find it. So There's no reason to give up on him. No reason to say he's a bum. There's no reason to hate on Denzel Mims. Root for him. First of all, he's on our team.
Yeah, there's that.
He's a Jet. And, rule number 1 is you don't go against the family. You remember that?
Right, right.
So why would anybody go against the family unless you're not trying? If you're not putting in an effort and you're just being lazy, I'll give you something else I saw on tape. Tyrann Mathieu is not a good run defender. The safety, he does not even put in the effort. Because I was looking at him, I was comparing him to Jason Pinnock. I wanted to see what do the good safeties do versus what does Jason Pinnock do, right? Get a feel for it.
Your boy.
And I watched Derwin James and I watched Tyrann Mathieu. And those are two very different players. Tyrann Mathieu does not want to tackle anybody. He doesn't want to put his head in. He makes no effort at all versus the run. So to me, that's a guy you might want to say, I'm not going to root for that. Why is he not trying? But that's not the case with Denzel Mims. He's doing everything he's asked to do. He screws up sometimes. Yes, he's not perfect, but you might as well root for him. He's got all the talent in the world.
Yeah, I like that, Frankie. No, guys, that's on Frankie from Flatbush's YouTube channel. It'll say the title is something along the lines of Denzel Mims. You'll see it right away. It sticks out. So go ahead and watch that video so you can maybe round out your opinions here. I mean, there's a loud chorus, especially on Twitter. I got into a little something today. There are people that they're just absolutely done with him. I mean, and I don't know
why. I mean,
me neither. I don't get it.
He's on our team. You never go against the family. That's rule number one. What are these people? Don't you know that? You never go against the family.
Right.
Don't you know? You never go against the family.
And like Joe Douglas,
he's on our family.
That's right. And like Joe Douglas says, you never let anybody know what you're thinking outside the family again. Or was that The Godfather? One or the other. It was Joe Douglas or Marlon Brando. So Philip Allen checks in. He says, I think we will be just fine taking receiver at 35 because I'm confident Elijah Moore will be a wide receiver 1 by midseason. That's another look. That's a very, very real, realistic thought. Right? Why the talent of Elijah Moore is not in question from my vantage point. Not in question. Now, he took a minute. The only problem I have with Elijah Moore is the injuries, right? He's a smaller guy, and he did not make it this season. He was injured 3 times. He had the concussion. He had the other things. I think it was ankle, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. So that's the thing. Now I wouldn't want to depend on him just yet. Now, thinking he's talented enough to be a wide receiver 1, I don't see why not. I think he's amazing. Now, if Zach can have time to really, like Frankie was just saying, it's not only Denzel Mims that was open. Other guys get open too, and Zach can't find them because he's already under duress. So I think Elijah is that guy too. And like I've said before, in my opinion, I think they think Braxton Berrios is wide receiver 3. That's what I think they think. Now, do I know that? No, I just got a sneaking suspicion. And I think just when you look at how much they tried to use him last year from all the way in the beginning, don't forget, week 2, he got 10 targets. So, I mean, it wasn't like he just by default at the end of the year because he was the only guy left. It wasn't just that. It was week 2. They were throwing at him 10 times. So anyway, I think we have a lot of confidence in the wide receivers that we have. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't bring somebody in. And I'm kind of with Philip. I think I get what Frankie's saying. And I do think the Jets more than likely will take a wide receiver at 10. But me personally, I'm fine with waiting till 35. Again, when you look over the last few years of the wide receivers taken in the beginning of the second round, they're studs. Some of the best wide receivers in the draft class are taken there. So it happens all the time. So I agree with you, Philip. Let's see what else we got here. You know what song that is, Frankie? You know what that is?
Sounds familiar.
The Wicked Witch. Wizard of Oz. That's the Wicked Witch of the West song. Daniel Faust. Thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. He says, all tight ends are running backs and wide receivers. It gets indefensible with creative offensive coordinator. Jets are on the right track. If it's not great, trade down. Now this is kind of the point, Daniel, that Frankie and I seem to be of a similar mindset here. And that is that tight ends, if used properly, can be some of the most impactful guys on the entire team. If they can block and they can catch, and then once they catch it, they know how to use their size. Think about it. They're 260. You got a bunch of defensive backs running around that are $180. The big ones are 200. You know what I mean? If they know how to think about that advantage, a guy that can lay out a defensive end or at least delay him, chip him, catch the ball, and he's almost 100 pounds more than the guys chasing him. That can be very, very impactful. And I think that's why our offense wants to do this. And I like that they didn't wait till the draft, even though I like a lot of the tight ends in this draft. I like that they said, you know what? We're going to do two things in free agency. We're going to go out there. We're going to fix this damn offensive line hole that we have with the Greg Van Roten hole, we're going to call it, the GVR hole. We're going to fix that. And we're going to go out there and make sure that we can run the offense that we want, which is 12 personnel. That's what we're going to do. Everything else is gravy. They re-signed Berrios. They added Jacob Martin. They got a vet cornerback to go with the young bucks. They got a safety so they don't have too much work to do in the draft. All great. But priority one was we're getting the line fixed and we're getting our ability to run our offense. And that's what they did. I think it's fantastic. Let me get to the next one, Frankie. I'll throw this one at you, I think. Sneakers to Boots checking in. Hey, buddy. Thank you. He says, I believe JD gets this draft right and the Jets finally get off the ground and take flight. If you're not aware, that is a good hashtag on Twitter. Take flight. It gets to the Jets fans. What are your worst case scenario top 5 picks that we have? Frankie, this is an interesting one. Give us your worst case scenario for Sneakers to Boots with our top 5 picks that we trade them all for a 7th.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost hard to miss. I mean, because we're going to get good players. I mean, is somebody going to be just a complete bust that we take? I mean, what if we take Trayvon? Okay. The way you could phrase this is like, let's take a high ceiling guy who may take a minute to get to where he wants to be, like Trayvon Walker. Okay. So you could say that's bad because we don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of time. We're not the Ravens. We're not the Steelers. We're not the Chiefs. We don't have the kind of time to develop a Trayvon Walker and wait 2-3 years for him to become good. That's the one way you could look at this. We take a Trayvon Walker and he doesn't develop. We take Jameson Williams and his knee never gets better and re-injures it or something. I don't know. We take Nakobe Dean and I mean, I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Even if we pick weird guys that we're not even thinking, they'll be good. What if we take Trey McBride in the first round? I don't know. I mean, what do we get? But Joe Douglas is not going to do that. So, I mean, the only way we could really lose is if we pick a developmental guy that doesn't develop. We take Kayvon Thibodeau and he decides not to put in an effort. I don't know. Yeah. How can we go wrong? I don't know.
Well, you know what? You've inspired my brain. So this is what I'll say. This is what I got from what Frankie was just saying. At 4, we're going to be able most likely to choose out of a couple of edge rushers.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, Sneakers to Boots, is that we take Thibodeau and Trayvon Walker as John Abraham. We take Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau is Von Miller. You know what I mean? Like that's worst case scenario. Now this has happened to us numerous times. One of my favorites is when we had 2 first-round picks because, well, I don't remember exactly why, but we had 2 first-round picks and it was a very strong defensive tackle draft. We traded both of those picks to get up to the top 3 picks to take Dwayne Robertson. A couple picks later, where we could have just stayed and took him, Richard Seymour was taken, and some other guys who were better than Dwayne Robertson. Well, Dwayne Robertson's whole career was 5 years. He had 1 decent year with us, pretty good year. That was about it. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about. Using your assets to take the guy who sucks, and then other guys just sit back and take the leftovers, and he's the Hall of Famer. So that's worst case scenario, Sneakers to Boots. That's what we're talking about here.
There's so many good guys in the draft.
There is.
And don't forget, we also, whatever edge we take, we also have another guy on our team named Carl Lawson, and he's sort of like the professor of pass rush. So whatever guy we take, he's going right under the wing of Carl Lawson, and he's going to give him all the secrets, and he's going to teach him and say, do this, do that. Here's this move, that move. So, I mean, even if it's a developmental guy, Carl Lawson will help us develop him. So that's also good.
Yeah, I want to get to this picture of Carl Lawson. He's such a beefcake. I can't get it. All right, forget it. Okay. I was going to let you guys look at Carl Lawson's pecs. Scott Wilson checking in. I don't know if you guys want to see some good pecs. Go look at Carl Lawson's workouts, man. He's that guy's carved from stone. You know, he just got it right. And what a great guy to have as the mentor on the team for a young guy. The only concern is with him, too, is that he can't make it this season. Like, if Carl Lawson stays with the team and is able to play most, if not all, of the season and be with the team, he's going to be an incredible asset for whoever the edge rusher is that we bring in. That's a great point. Scott Wilson, thank you for the super chat. He says, I can't make as many live streams with my new work schedule, but I'm on my lunch and just wanted to shoot some appreciation for the content. Always watch the next morning. Well, thank you, Scott. And congrats on the new job, right? I don't think you'd be doing it unless it was a positive for you. So what's 9 o'clock and you're on lunch, huh? So, well, hey, enjoy your lunch break. I hope you're not waiting until now to eat your meal. I don't know, but I used to work nights. Frankie, did you ever work nights?
No, when I worked for Morel and Company, used to work for Morel and Company, which is a fine wine and auctions house in New York City. And we would sometimes have to work all-nighters to get ready for an auction. We would work like 3 straight days without sleeping. It's not a good practice, but that was probably the closest I would come, being in a warehouse, a wine warehouse surrounded by wine you can't drink, and getting ready for an auction.
Yeah. Well, I've worked nights. You know what's funny? Here I am, right? I have a whole different reset going on in my life. For the first time in my 15 years of marriage, my wife is going to be working. She got a job at UVA, Frankie. I'm going to be at UVA all the time. Yeah, dude, that was the goal. If we're going back to Charlottesville and you're going to go to work, let's please make it the university. I want to find the secret corridors and get in there and be able to hang out. That's what I want. I want to fucking hang out at UVA. So, but I'm going to be Mr. Mom and just be Jets guy. So I'm going to, I've always been the executive and the worker. And so I've actually contemplated. I go to Lowe's and they're like hiring nighttime guys or part-time. I'm like, do I want to go be a Walmart stocker overnight? Just to make a few bucks. Just so I don't know. I'm kind of entertaining going back into the nighttime workforce like I did when I was a kid. I used to work all night, man. Just work through the night, get done at 6 a.m. and then start drinking. You know what I mean?
Old 6 a.m. drinking. That's not good.
Right. You know, when you work all night and you start drinking at 6 a.m. Yeah. So anyway, Scott Wilson, thank you, buddy. And it's good to have you here. And I'm glad that you guys are able to watch it the next day. I've actually gotten to watch I've gotten into watching some live streams later, and that's because of you guys. And my first thought was, how could they watch a live stream after it's live? You know, that was my first thought. And then I started saying, well, maybe it's fine. And it is. It's nothing wrong with it. So I started doing that myself. But thank you, Scott. Oh, no, I forgot to put the thing on, Frankie. My mods aren't working. Jeremy's letting the sex cams come through.
I think they got rid of them.
Did they? I still see them.
There
Fun
was a
hot
few,
girls and boys.
There was a few, but lately they're gone, I think.
An error occurred. Try refreshing the I can't do it. Jeremy and Y2K, help me. We got the sex boys in here. All right. So we got another super chat. Mr. D checking in with the orange super chat. Thank you, Mr. D. Last year, we should have and could have won more than 4 games. Right now, before the draft, we are a better team. After the draft, how many games do you guys think we should win? Also, do you think we will win our first game? Go Jets. Well, Mr. D, I'm going to answer it first because Frankie's definitely going to answer with it's impossible to tell, although he's going to do that to you. I know he is.
Give you the real answer.
I'm going to play the game with you, Mr. D. Frankie can't. Maybe Frankie can play with it after I start the merry-go-round spinning. He'll play. So here's the thing. It is very difficult. We don't know exactly where our first game is, right? I don't even think, whatever. But they didn't release the schedule yet. We only know the teams we're playing, so it's very hard. That all said, with everything aside, the players we added, all the stuff, in order for this rebuild to actually be working, we cannot have another 4-win season. Now, last year, there was at least 2 more games that we totally could have won. All right. Now I point to the Miami games. They were both in hand, and there was a few more, but let's just say 2 more. We could have come out with 2 more victories last year. We didn't, and that is what it is, but we could have. So I'm thinking that this year, in order for this to really make people feel good about the direction that we're going, I would say the floor is 7 wins. The floor. Now, if the ball bounces right, let's say that we have better health, just our health alone. If we can mitigate the injury impact, so if we have 50% less injuries, if we do that, I think that we're a 7-win team. That's what now our schedule is really tough. The AFC is stacked. All those things are not in our favor, but that's the way it is. You gotta win games. It's just the way it is. You can't cry and bitch and go, oh, well, Michael Jordan, you can't do that. You have to just play the games and win. So I think 7-9 is realistic. And this is obviously before even seeing the schedule and all that. But I think 7 is our floor. Frankie, how do you feel? You think there's any chance like that we slip and just kind of have another 4-win season or anything like that?
One number rules them all. One number to watch, and all the dominoes start to fall. If Zach Wilson can do one thing with the rest of his skill set being the same, and this would apply the same to Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, if Zach Wilson with his skill set can hit 65% or so on accuracy, then it's a whole different ball game. Because then I think we can win more games. I think we can, we can start dreaming. We can start thinking, okay, maybe 7-8 wins like that. Vegas has this at 5.5 right now for a betting line. So they're thinking 5 or 6 wins, but they don't know that. But they're looking at Zach Wilson as a giant question mark, and you have to look, if you're just looking at the stats, you didn't see the improvement over the year. You're not optimistic like we are. You didn't know about the drops, for God's sakes.
Right.
You'd say, okay, well, Zach Wilson, who knows what he is? So we, unknown, 5.5 wins. That's where we're putting it. So, and he might not. We don't know. He's been accurate his whole life, but maybe he's not able to play at this level. We don't know. But if he is, then I think we're in business. We can do it. We can win 7-8. We can be in the hunt, and we can take it from there. And then once we know about Zach, everything starts to fall into place. We can think about the narrative next offseason. If Zach Wilson has a Mac Jones type of season, or maybe a little better, the narrative will be, okay, the Jets have solved their quarterback problem, and now they had a surprisingly good win. They're on the way. They're on the uprise. They have, let's say our defense improves, which it kind of has to. It's hard to do worse than 32nd. There's only 32 teams, so hard to be worse. So they say, okay, our defense has improved. Zach Wilson's coming along. Now, all the free agent wide receivers, some of them might want to come here now. Some of the better wide receivers, some of the better free agents, no matter what position, might want to choose to come here more so than they would otherwise. So it all comes down to that. And if Zach Wilson stinks, then we can't win many games. I mean, the quarterback position is unique. I mean, maybe it's sort of like starting pitchers in baseball, but you have to have it. And if you don't, you're not. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you have to have at least someone who's average and who can take care of the ball and be okay at the very least. Otherwise, nothing much else matters.
Yeah, and you have that 65% beautiful, simplistic way, right?
That's
the 65% number. And that's the thing, man. Like when you look at our last year, it's very easy to just look at it as a big old-fashioned cluster F. You could, and you're not exactly wrong,
especially in the beginning of the year.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
It was.
The first quarter of the season was downright embarrassing.
Yeah, it was.
Especially going against Sam Darnold week 1 and Robbie Anderson and all the stuff. Right? It was like maximum pain. Then we go to Patriots and they shellac us, 4 interceptions, 53 points, whatever the hell it was. So it was just maximum pain the beginning of the season, and we looked lost out there. But there are reasons for things. Like when you look at, an organization, you can choose to look at the reasons and look and wonder and if they're fixable or not. Are they addressable reasons, or are we, this or that? There are years in the past when there was no way to fix it. We did not have the horses. We did not have the guys that knew how to find the horses. We were completely lost. Right now, what we're looking at is an organization that made a very, very difficult decision, which was to gut this thing and build it from square one and play their young guys and the whole thing. It was like everything from first-time head coach to first-time quarterback, difficult new systems, injuries. Like we had everything at once. And at the end of the year, we looked better. It's just that simple. I mean, we looked now. We didn't make me proud or anything like that, but we played our peers this season. We played the Texans. We played the Jaguars. They were our peers at the bottom, and we beat them both. Now people go, oh, so what? It's the Texans. Well, guess what? So what? We're the fucking Jets. So you have to be the best of the worst first, in my opinion. Like that's the ladder rung. You know what I mean? You got to climb up over the first rung before you get to the top. And that's the Jaguars and the Texans were those rungs. We beat them both. And we beat them in a very, very fun way. Like we beat them. You know what I mean? And now people look back and they say, if we didn't beat the Jaguars, we'd be at pick 2. Yeah, I get it. And we had all those discussions that day. You know, that whole week, that was the big discussion of the week. We should have just lost. I would argue that giving our young guys, from the coaches to the quarterback to the Elijah Moores to the Michael Carters to the AVTs, giving them the taste like, hey, guys, you worked your ass off all season and you went to an organization that is known for bad luck and you went through it. You went through all the bad luck. Guess what? If you stay the course, you can win. I think that has more value long-term than the draft pick. That's just and we can't keep thinking that way. You know, like, oh, draft pick. Yeah, I get it, man. We're going to get a phenomenal player at 4 and 10. We have 2 top 10 picks. We're going to be fine. So anyway, I think 7 is our floor. And I think Zach Wilson is going to be markedly improved, in my opinion. He's got that makeup. He's got the makeup to do it and get past this. And I like it. So Jake checking in with the super chat. He says, big Frankie fan. Yeah, me too, Jake. I am. Subbed first time I saw him on here and love seeing he hit 1,000K or 1K, 1,000 subscribers. Got to give him a talking to. Getting angry at anonymous AFC exec. What happened, Frankie? What's Jake talking about?
Well, I did a video, and I think you did a video on this too, about the Athletic report that came out quoting an anonymous NFL executive. You know, if you're so confident in your opinions, Mr. Executive, why don't you put your name to it, buddy? Why you got to be so anonymous?
Right.
Put a little name to it. How about that? You got an opinion. We didn't get anybody. We got tier 2 and tier 3 free agents. But you know what? I think Laken Tomlinson was the best guard available. That would be tier 1. I think CJ Uzama and Tyler Conklin were the 2 best tight ends available. The 2 best tight ends available. That's tier 1. Because Dalton Schultz wasn't available. David Njoku, not available. Mo Alley Cox decided to go back to the Colts after Doyle retired. So we couldn't get that. We got the DJ Reed. I got another bulletin for you. Breaking news. DJ Reed was a tier 1 free agent. The kid is phenomenal. Watch the tape. Watch any breakdown of DJ Reed, the cornerback. The kid is terrific. I don't know what people are looking at. Yeah, he doesn't have a big name. Nobody, he's not Carlton Davis. He's not J.C. Jackson. He doesn't have the he doesn't have that kind of national acclaim just yet. But look at it. The season he had last year, he's phenomenal in the exact defense that we're running, by the way. You're not going to have to change a thing. In the exact defense that we're running. And we're going from Brandon Eccles was our starter, a 6th-round pick. Brandon Eccles, and he's fine for a backup, but he was our starter. And we're going to a top 10 cornerback in the league, DJ Reed, instead. How much is that going to help? I think a lot. So this
right,
guy,
especially when you add him to this guy here, Frank. That's Carl Lawson.
Is he on the right or the left? That's what I don't know.
That's him right here. This is Carl Lawson.
He's a monster. But especially when you come on, if we do have Lawson, let's say we have Lawson on the right and Thibodeau on the left and JFM in the middle with Quinnen, the cornerbacks are going to have a lot easier job than they did last year, trying to cover for 17 years while we were struggling to get a pass rush. That's going to be markedly different. So this guy coming out with his anonymous quote that we couldn't get any free agents. I'm sorry. We won 6 games the last 2 years and we still got the haul we got. That's a phenomenal offseason for Joe Douglas. We should be building a statue for this man, considering we won 6 games. Nobody knows about Zach Wilson, and we still got top tier 1 free agents, because this tells me he doesn't know that they're what tier 1 and tier 2 are, by the way. We still got them here, and we got some other guys, and we re-signed a bunch of our other guys, re-signed people, like important people like Bodden and Coleman and Berrios, who are going to play very important roles. Nobody knows who Nick Bodden is, but he plays an important role. Blocking is important. A fullback blocking is important. And so we got a good blocking fullback for cheap. That's a heck of a move. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. And this is something we've been talking about for a while now. Like the anonymous quote did bring up a couple of things, though. It said the Jets don't really have the pull. We don't have the established quarterback or the winning culture. We have higher taxes. We have fan base that'll call you a piece of shit for one bad season. And we have a press that writes articles about you that you're eating yourself to death. And like there's a lot here. So the fact that and then we turn around and yell at our general manager for not being able to get anybody. And then we're mad at him if he has to overpay. Oh yeah, anybody would come if you gave him $5 million. It's like, you got to give Joe Douglas credit. He's able to get very, very strong pieces, and he didn't give CJ Uzomah much more than he's worth, if any. I mean, he was with the Super Bowl team, and they wanted him back. They were trying to re-sign him. He came over here. Conklin was the guy that the Bengals were trying to get after that. They ended up signing Hayden Hurst, who I like, but they were trying to get both Uzomah and Conklin. They came here. That's a credit. When you look at all the obstacles that we have, it's a credit. But I'm with you, man. And then the parting shot on that thing, it would be incredibly difficult for Zach Wilson to be much worse than he was last year. Like, what is that? Why you got to say that at the end of your damn clip, Athletic? These guys are hacks. So anyway, I agree with you, Frankie. Anonymous sources are just that. Fake. They're not real. That's it. Anybody can say it.
Could be a guy in accounting. The NFL has accounting people. I'm an accounting executive. I work for the NFL in New York City. Okay, let's call that guy. Let him be the source. What does he know? He's into accounting. Go account.
An NFL executive. That's all it said. Yeah. The Jets got nobody. Like, what? Have you paid attention? Like, again, even if you just leave it at Laken Tomlinson, he was a Pro Bowl guard.
Yeah.
The top guard. He was number 1 on many of our wish lists for this season. And we got him. Is that how can that not be tier 1? At the spot we needed the most. We got the best free agent at the biggest need. End of story. Paris checking in. Thank you for the super chat, Paris. He says, or 1189 Paris. I don't want to leave out the numbers. I'm worried that the expectations coming into this season may be too high. The Jets still have to beat the Bills, the Patriots, and Dolphins in their division before they make the playoffs. Do you concur? Well, this is what I'll say to that. It's unavoidable, Paris. Jets fans, we are at our lowest at the end of the season. We think the Jets suck and we need to fire everybody and cut everybody. And it does not matter what happens. 9 out of 10 of us, week 1 into the season, we think we're winning 12 games. I mean, that's just who we are as a fan base. Now, that sets you up for disappointment, of course. But I think having expectations that we should beat some of our division opponents, we're going to have to do that before we do anything. Now, if we lose all of our division games, that's 6 games. We are already 0-6. It's a tough hole to come out of unless we beat every other team that we're playing, and that looks exceedingly difficult as well. So I don't know. I think expectations are just what we do. I think you're right. I mean, people are going to be disappointed by them, but that's how we roll, man. Frankie, how do you see that one?
One number to rule them all. All we need is Zach Wilson to hit 65% and everything changes. More first downs, more points on the board, less time for the defense to be on the field. Everything changes if we start moving the offense. The running game gets into a rhythm. We start pounding the ball with the run game. Then we start using the play action more effectively. Then we start throwing the ball more effectively. Everything starts to come into place, and then we'll know what we can be. We don't know what we can be unless you have a good quarterback. You need to have, it's necessary and not sufficient, but it's necessary. It's necessary, but not sufficient to have a good quarterback in place. You have to have it, and we don't know if we have it. We're optimistic, but once we know if Zach Wilson's the guy, then we'll know what we can be.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, look, Paris, here's what I'll tell you, my friend. Keep your expectations realistic, and you're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like, my expectations are realistic. Now, there were many years I've walked into Giant Stadium week 1 under Rich Kotite or Bruce Coslett, screaming at the top of my drunk lungs, the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. I've done that year after year after year, and I was dashed. I used to walk out of that spiral. I hated the escalator on the way home. I always walked the spiral. It did me good. And I would walk that spiral with my head down, staring at my shoes. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I'd go make sausages in the parking lot. Took me a half hour to bitch. That's how mad I used to get. So no more of that. Now it's like, okay. But keep yourself cool, Paris. We're going to be fine.
And let me say to Isaac in the chat, because people get this twisted all the time. The 65% is for Zach Wilson and Zach Wilson only. It doesn't apply to Tua. It doesn't apply to Josh Allen. It doesn't apply to other people. With Zach Wilson's skill set, his deep ball is going to stay the same. His escapability is going to stay the same. His running ability is going to stay the same. His velocity on the fastball is going to stay the same. For Zach Wilson in particular, that's the number. Other people can have different numbers and different results, but for Zach, that's what he needs to do, in my opinion.
There you go. Well said. 65%. That's what we need to see. And we need to see anybody. This is what I want to see this year. If people are dropping passes, like we talk about, we'd put Mims in, he makes a penalty, and they bounce him. Fucking Ty Johnson sat in there all game. He dropped 3 third down. Like, why is he still in there? Corey Davis dropped numerous passes all year. He stays in there. So I don't know. There's a thought process. Let somebody overcome their obstacles. They didn't do that with Mims. Now we don't know why, but I would rather see the whole team put on alert. If you drop a couple passes, you're out. Your job is to catch the ball. If Zach puts it anywhere near you, catch it. And if you don't, you sit. I don't give a shit. That's what I'd like to see. Edward Ziff checking in. I don't know what this necessarily means. He says, I hope they wove carbon fiber into Carl's Achilles. So that would be like strengthen it, Frankie. Is this real? I hope so too, Ed.
There's different kinds of Achilles injuries. You know, some people say it's a rupture. It's not a rupture. It's just to this, to that. I don't know. We saw Cam Akers come back last year. Now every injury is different, but I thought Cam Akers and the way he came back and the way he looked was, it could make you optimistic in terms of the surgery and, whether a guy can come back from that type of injury. We don't know, but he's working out like a beast. If anybody could come back from an injury like that, it's Carl Lawson. And then we saw Cam Akers come back from an Achilles and be an effective running back in the playoffs. So I don't know. We got to wait and see. I don't think there's anything anybody can do except just wait and see what he looks like.
Yeah. And look, I hope so. Whatever they have to do to strengthen the Achilles and make him immortal, I want it. I watch all these movies and everybody's so immortal. They fucking fall off buildings and they roll. Like, what? Why can't Carl Lawson be like that? Well, come on. Why can't we have that? So I just watched Endgame again. Avengers Endgame. That's a good ass movie. I want to just say that to everybody. That is good. I just watched Black Widow too. I thought that was good. I liked it. I'm gonna watch the Immortals or whatever the hell it is, the Everlastings, something like that. I like Marvel. I like the Marvel universe, but it gives me that Paris. That's where my expectations for my health comes. I'm like, why can't my players shoot laser beams out of their eyes and shit? Why? What is this? So Jets Show, Mr. Show letting us know 302 in the chat. We actually got 322 currently, and there's only 82 likes. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, now is the time to do it. If you have not subscribed to the channel, it helps a great deal. We just appreciate it so much. And what else you got to do? Just hit it. It's a click. It's a click away. Now, Slaugo, Mr. Show, says, forgot to punch the thumb. Thanks for the reminder. So see, We're not saying anything bad. You can forget. It's just, hey, it's easy to forget. This is your friendly reminder, starting from Mr. Show at the Jet Show. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It is appreciated, as is the subscription to the channel. We just passed 6,200. I passed 6,000 like a week and a half ago, I think it was. And we're already at 6,200. I have a goal. I think I'm going to put another contest out there. If we can get to 6,500 before the draft, I'm going to give away socks. Green bean socks. What do you think?
Everybody needs socks. I mean, you can't go around barefoot all the time, so you might as well get some green bean socks.
That's right. You know, when I was a homeless guy for a very little while, Frankie, there was a guy that I met. He said, the only thing you have to do out here is keep your feet dry. That's it. Everything else you can handle with. He said, keep your socks, shoes, no matter what you do, keep your feet dry. So I never forgot that. And he was right. So there you go, everybody. Keep your feet dry and you're going to be fine.
And anybody who's been in the military knows they say the same thing when you're in bivouac or wherever you're doing. It's all about keeping your sock, having enough socks and rotating them out, keeping them clean and dry. Everybody who's been in the military, like me, knows that's also the strategy.
See that? So homeless men and military men have very similar lines of thinking.
Yeah.
Keep your feet dry.
You're often sleeping in the dirt or
right. Same shit. Sleeping in the muck, they call it. Yeah. Where were you? Were you ever active, Frankie? In action? Yeah.
Yeah. I was 82nd Airborne Division down in North Carolina, jumping out of airplanes.
Holy shit. And here I am thinking Frankie's just got a silky voice.
No, I was an NCAA baseball player for one thing in college. And then after that, I joined the military, 82nd Airborne. I think Eric Craig is still in the chat. He's a fellow airborne guy. And 82nd down in North Carolina, jumping out of airplanes.
There you go. Amazing. I want to applaud Frankie from Flatbush for his NCAA career and his 82nd Airborne service. Thank you, Frankie. Very, very well done, my friend. I didn't know that about you. We're learning here tonight. This is a good show. I'm learning. John checking in with the super chat. He says, I am seeing running back Breece Hall climbing up and Linderbaum falling in mock drafts. How would you feel grabbing them both at 35 and 38 for a run heavy offense? Now, we've talked about this a little bit, but specifically, Frankie, grabbing Breece Hall and Linderbaum, 35, 38, no trading up or anything. You think there's wisdom there? Or is that something that you'd be okay with the Jets doing?
Well, Breece Hall, I think, is a realistic option in the second round. Breece Hall, depending on what evaluator you see, he's either the first or the second. Between him and Kenneth Walker, running backs in this draft, and there's a separation between them and the rest of the crew. So I would personally like to get Breece Hall in the second round, if not then Kenneth Walker, because I think we do need an RB2. Maybe RB1, RB2, Michael, we need a two-headed monster with Michael Carter. So I don't think that's far-fetched at all. Now, Linderbaum is an interesting one. If Linderbaum's sitting there at 35, you might have to take him just because he's so good. He is up to 302 now, by the way. Somebody said he was 275. He's not 275. Yeah. He weighed in at 302 at his pro day, I believe it was.
That's good for him.
He did his pro day recently, and he did good at the pro day. He wasn't at the combine, so I think he fell because of that. But at 30,
did you see that?
Yeah, that's what threw me off. I was like, what?
Trying to block it, and I fucking promoted it. Okay.
So if he's there at 35, you got to consider it, even though we don't need him, and it's not really a good use of premium picks to get a guy who's going to be on the bench. Or to have, maybe we could trade McGovern, or maybe we could do something with McGovern. I don't know. But at 35, it's a hell of a value, and you might have to consider it. It would be an interesting conundrum, but I don't think he gets by the Bengals at the back of the first round. He's not going to get by the Bengals. So, or the Dolphins. Do the Dolphins have a pick late? No, do they? No.
I have to look.
I forgot. But he's probably not going to.
Oh shit! No, don't do it. Okay, I almost went to the wrong page. I almost shut us down with a fucking errant click. Sorry. Let me see. The Dolphins. No. No,
Oh, no. All right.
it's really, I'm with you. I think Cincinnati, it's like, I mean, there are a few teams that could take them, but Cincinnati at 31, I don't think Linderbaum's getting past them. I don't.
I doubt it. I doubt it. But if he is, it'd be an interesting conundrum for us because it's like, this is quite a value here.
All right. So guys, I want you to know in the chat a couple things. Number one is I just changed the setting that only people who are subscribed to the channel can comment. The reason I'm doing that is for the sex boys. Okay. So that's what I do to keep that out. I forgot to do that tonight. So that's why they're back. If you noticed, you probably didn't. But they haven't been here in a few weeks because I've been doing that probably the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. So I forgot to do it. So if all of a sudden you can't comment because it says subscription, you only have to be subscribed for 5 minutes, and then you can do that. Sex boys, if they figure that out, I'll make it longer. But that's it. You just have to be a subscriber for 5 minutes. Hopefully, if you're going to do all that, just stay subscribed, and then everything will be well. So I'm sorry for sticking that up there on you, Frankie, while you were talking. I was trying to block it, and I ended up putting it up on the screen. But yeah, I'm like, hey, by the way, if you guys are interested. Okay, so we got another super chat. Johnny Myrahall, or he keeps yelling at me. Mirahall.
Johnny
Right,
Mears.
Johnny.
It's Johnny Mears.
He yells at me. I keep. It's a tough one. You got to give me that, Johnny. You got to give me that. Now, Johnny's a beanbagger with us. He spends good time with us. He's a great guy, man. Just a whole bunch of fun. But every week he sees me. He goes, "Hey, I just want to tell you, you're wrong still." So I'm going to call you Johnny. He said I have that part right, Frankie. So that's good. I'll stick there. He says, do you guys remember Mark Gastineau? He was one of the original me guys, like some fools do now to TK. He's going to be a beast wherever. Yeah, to KT, Kayvon Sibbett. It's funny because I didn't even realize it was backwards. I knew exactly what you were saying. He's going to be a beast wherever he goes. By the way, Frankie, how did you get to Pittsburgh? Well, let's take care of the first part. I do remember Mark Gastineau, Johnny. He was quite literally the fortifying entity that made me a Jets fan. As you guys know, it was my Aunt Gina. It was the Mud Bowl. It was a whole bunch of stuff at the ground round in Bloomfield. It was a whole bunch of shit that happened. And then really it was Mark Gastineau. It was a perfect storm for me. That guy, for a 10-year-old kid, was everything. And then from him, there was Joe Klecko and Freeman McNeil and then Kenny O'Brien. I liked Richard Todd too, but Wesley Walker and Mickey Schuler and then Kyle Clifton a little bit later. It was like that team to me was exceptionally fun to watch. But yeah, he's right. Like Mark Gastineau got caught. And Frankie and I have actually done a whole thing on this. Like what Mark Gastineau was hated for, the whole league does now. Now they even put TV screens at the end of the end zone to encourage people to run up there and make dances and all this kind of shit. Mark Gastineau was universally hated, and all he did, he didn't do it in anybody's face or anything. All he did was get psyched up and do a little dance thing for sacking the quarterback. And there were fist fights and all kinds of shit for Mark Gastineau doing that. But yeah, just because KT has a little bit of, attitude or whatever that you don't like, I don't think it's enough to not draft him. Now, if you don't like the play on the field, you don't think his stats measure up and all, that's one thing. But as far as his brand, and he's a 21-year-old kid, man. Let them talk. As long as you can put him with Carl Lawson and Robert Saleh, he's going to be fine. You know what I mean? That's my thoughts. I don't think he's so overt that they can't contain him. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. So, Frankie, what do you think about Pittsburgh? How the hell did you get to Pittsburgh? What is this, man? You were in Texas. You were jumping out of airplanes in North Carolina. What's going on?
Well, I was actually back in Brooklyn. After I came out of the military, I came back to New York, and then I worked for Morell and Company, the wine auction shop, and then I got into risk management. And then the state of Texas recruited me down to Texas. They wanted me to come down there and help them with their risk management. So I said, all right, well, what does that mean? They said, well, you're going to have to go into a bunch of prisons and a bunch of psychiatric wards. And, you're going to have to go into the House of Representatives and the Congress and this and this. And I said, all right, but where am I going to live? Oh, Austin, Texas. I was like, all right, that sounds good. Good to me. Sunshine, lots of beautiful blonde women. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go. Let's go there.
Right. Tough choice.
Yeah. So I went down to Austin, Texas for like 6.5 years. And then the 25th best university in the world recruited me. Carnegie Mellon University wanted me to help them with their risk management. So I said, all right, I'll come back to the Northeast. So that's how I landed back in Pittsburgh. And it's not exactly the best place in the world, but it's got some advantages.
Well, how long's it been, Frankie?
That I've been in Pittsburgh now for about 4 years. So it's been a while.
Well, if the Jets end up, I think the Jets play Pittsburgh away this year. Don't we play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh this year?
I think somebody said something about that.
Yeah. So we're going to try to organize Frankie Fest out there in Pittsburgh.
Well, I'll try to come up with the best place to go. I don't know where it would be. We probably should.
Well, we'll at least try Beato's Pizza, the Pittsburgh cold cheese. Yeah, we'll do some of that. Pittsburgh's got some really great sandwich places. I mean, there are some famous sandwich places in the city proper. Yeah, we'll give you time. But maybe we get a little road trip going. We go and get a crew. We go to see the Jets play Pittsburgh, and we have a little Frankie Fest. What do you think?
Yeah, that's definitely maybe. I mean, I don't know who's going to want to come see me, but I
do. That's me. If Frankie Fest is just you and I, it'll be fun.
But yeah, I mean, I would think we'd want to go to a nice bar. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm thinking we go and we set up tents by the fucking stadium and we take over the joint. Wave little green towels. What do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's like Buffalo where they would like hate us intensely.
No, I've been to Pittsburgh games. Well, I shouldn't say games one, but I've been there with my Jet stuff on. Everybody was cool. Partly because they know I suck and they,
right, yeah,
and they're Pittsburgh, but they're not Pittsburgh like they used to be Pittsburgh. So it might be a thing, but we'll see. Anyway, we'll talk about that more. But I want to tell you guys, we're going to have a little bit of a contest. We're kind of winding down here toward the end of the show. We're going to do trivia. I want to bring Watu-K and Jeremy on. Jeremy's going to give away some, what is it, panties or something? Baseball cards. He's going to give away some football and basketball cards. He's got a Patrick Ewing tonight. So we're going to do some giveaways for you guys. And we'll have some fun on the, wrapping this one up tonight. We got a little time. We'll probably hang out with you guys a little bit longer tonight. Again, I'm coming to you from a basement in Baltimore. So, everybody's kind of sleeping and shit. So what else? I'll just hang out with you guys, right? D Santana checking in. He says, great content, guys. Good show. Frankie, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I think it could have been better, GreenBean. We could have some points of improvement.
Agreed. It can always be better, but I do thank you for the super chat. That was really nice. Jake just says he wants socks. So that's important. Let's see what else we got.
I've really enjoyed GMB calling me a dumbass in the chat. So thank you, GMB. I really enjoyed
did.
That was great.
Why is he doing that? Why is it?
That was my favorite.
What was he? I don't get this.
He didn't like my tier 1 evaluation of our free agents. He thought they were tier 2. But so for that, I'm a dumbass. Oh, thanks, GMB. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree with Frankie. The idea, look, you can argue that our tight ends are tier 2. You can argue that. Maybe all the tier 1s were gone. But they were tier 1 of what was out there for sure.
That's what I meant. Yeah, that's what
for sure. But you cannot argue that there is only a few people that get selected to the Pro Bowl every year. The guy that we signed is one of them. Okay? He's a Pro Bowl guard coming from the exact same system. Like there are numerous reasons why it's the perfect fit in addition to his play. Like that, Pro Bowl and all that. He's a tier 1 free agent. Before the Jets signed him, he was on everybody's short list as one of the top 2 or 3 at worst. James Daniels, you had Alex Kappa. Most instances, you had Laken Tomlinson above Alex Kappa. All right. Even though the Bengals went and signed Kappa 3 minutes into free agency, they had a $40 million contract worked out. Such horse shit that they weren't sneaking around behind closed doors early. Yes, anyway, just again, before free agency started, Laken Tomlinson was up there on every list. The Jets signed him. Now he's an old fogey who's his career's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely. Yeah.
Crazy. Now, and you can say Jordan Whitehead or DJ Reed or tier 2. You could. I mean, if you Marcus Williams, maybe Tyrann Mathieu or the bigger names, and you could say that, Okay. The Jets didn't go for Marcus Williams. I know that was a report, but our beat doesn't know anything. I got word from a very, very reliable source that the Jets never offered Marcus Williams a contract. They were saying all that stuff, that the reason that it broke down is that he wanted the Jets to pay $2 million more than the Ravens if he was going to come here. It's all bullshit. All of it. It never happened. So anyway, if you could say Marcus Williams is tier 1, Jordan Whitehead is tier 2, he was the Jets tier 1. So, and let's see how it goes. So T Fine checking in. Thank you, T Fine. Says, would you take a flyer on Jameson Williams in the first round, maybe at 10, or maybe trade up back into the lower first round if he falls? Guy has size and speed, a true number 1 when fully healthy. So I'll answer this one first quickly, Frankie, but I'd like to hear your thoughts too. Here's the thing. This is how I see it, T-Fine. Me personally, I am scared to take Jameson Williams because we are the New York Jets. We are riddled with bad luck. I do believe in the Jets curse. And if you look over the last 4 years of injuries, we're number 1, if not close to it, in IR guys every year. So I don't know. The idea of bringing that guy here seems like it's already a foregone conclusion that he's going to be injured. I don't like it. Now, if the Jets do take him at 10 because they see him as the best wide receiver on the board, I gotta say the way that I see that is that's a vote of confidence for Denzel Mims, because Jameson Williams is more than likely, best case scenario, he's still going to miss a chunk of the early season. Okay. If everything goes perfectly, he's more than likely still not going to be there ready at 100% game 1. So that means to me, they're comfortable with Denzel Mims holding that spot until he can be ready. And that would be a positive as far as Denzel Mims being given a second shot and all that stuff. So that said, I would not be upset if they did it, because he's probably wide receiver 1 if the ACL doesn't happen. I think he's probably on most people's boards number 1 wide receiver in this class. So that said, if they went for it, I wouldn't be brokenhearted. I'm just a little nervous. How do you see it, Frankie? Would you do it?
Yes, I would. I would take whether it's Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, or Drake London at 10. I'm happy. I probably have a slight preference for Drake London, who I see as a Mike Evans type. But if we did take Jameson Williams, it's like you said, GreenBean. Like the beauty of taking Jameson Williams would be, all right, let's see what Denzel's got. In the first part of the season, however long it takes Jameson to come back, we give Denzel those snaps and we see what he's got. And it's a good opportunity to say, all right, Denzel, show us, let's see, right. And what can you develop into? And then if he does well, then Jameson comes back and he's part of the rotation, but no pressure or anything. And if Denzel doesn't do well, then Jameson comes in and takes those snaps and Denzel moves back in the depth chart. So so I don't have any problem taking Jameson, but if we take him, it's an opportunity for Denzel. If we take a guy like Drake London, though, I think he's going to play right away and less snaps for Denzel. That means, I think. And if we take Garrett Wilson, same thing. So no matter what we do at 10 at wide receiver, we'll get one of those 3, I would think. And I'm fine with it, with all of them. I would say probably my preference right now is slightly Drake London, but
Drake London.
Yeah. But if we take Jameson, I'm fine with that. If we take Garrett Wilson, I'm fine with that.
I got to say, I'm a fan of Chris Olave, and I got to tell you guys, this is how I think.
I love Olave too.
Love him. And I think he's number 1 on the Jets board. And this is why. Maybe. It's the lack of information we have connecting the Jets to Olave. We've heard the Jets connected to Wilson. We've heard him connected to London. We've heard him connected to Jameson Williams. Excuse me. He is the one guy in the top 5 or so that has been ominously absent from any conversations of Jets interest. And they had him in last week for a visit. I think that's their target. And they're letting everybody think that they want Garrett Wilson or they want this guy or that guy. I think it's going to be Chris Olave if we take a receiver at 10, and I would be psyched. I think Chris Olave is the more rounded of all of them, and I like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. If we were going to go for Olave, I'd maybe try to trade down and get some extra value because you probably don't need to take Olave at 10, say. But nonetheless, even if we did take him at 10, I wouldn't hate it. I love Olave. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, me too. But if they did say Jamison Williams, I'd be okay. They feel good about it. I just hope that they're considering and factoring in the Jet curse. Because a lot of guys come here, they don't want to believe it's real. It's fucking real. It's real.
I mean, and the thing is that if they take him, then they're comfortable with the medical. Like if they're not comfortable with the medical, they'll just cross him off the list. They're not taking him at any point, at any point.
He's off. That's what I heard they did. Yeah, I heard they did that with Ojabo the day of the injury. They found out it was an Achilles, and no, I could be wrong, but that's.
But a team like the Ravens can wait all day. A team like the Steelers or Chiefs or somebody in fancy like that, they could wait for Ojabo, and take a chance and say, okay, we'll take a red shirt year, however long it takes, and then we're going to get somebody really good. But we can't afford that. We don't have that kind of luxury. We have too many holes. We can't have that. So it doesn't surprise me if they would cross them off because we just can't wait.
Yeah. Now, if he somehow made it to the third or something, okay.
If he slips that far, well.
Yeah, which I don't see, but because I'm with you. Eminon Metcalf asked to know a few times, 5 times, got a couple autographs, said he made him a Jet fan. He's so cool. Yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that, man. I met Gastineau too, but much later. Jake checking back in. Frankie says, when are the Frankie Fest tickets going on sale? They are on sale already. We don't know what we're doing, but we're selling tickets already. Go on my website. You find them.
You sell the tickets first, and then you figure out what's going on. That's got to be how you do it. I don't know. We don't know what we're doing.
Let me do this. I think I'm at the last super chat here for now. Anyway, I'm going to bring Watts UK and Jeremy on. We'll cut it up with some trivia and some giveaways and all that jazz. 100 Club. Thank you for the super chat coming from the UK. It looks like, huh? Where does Baker end up? How does he affect our trade options? Frankie, any thoughts on where Baker's ending up? And does he impact somebody wanting a quarterback in the draft? Will they say, hey, I could just go sign Baker for free and not lose a draft pick?
I don't know. A logical landing point would be the Seattle Seahawks. They just did sign Geno Smith back, though, to a $7 million deal, which is not pennies. So they may be saying Drew Luck, Geno Smith were happy in terms of veteran guys. They may draft somebody also, but I think Geno Smith signing back there reduces the chances that Baker winds up there. But I don't know. It's hard to know. The Browns may wind up keeping him because as Deshaun insurance in case he gets suspended by the league. Although that's looking less likely now.
Yeah. Too. How happy you think Baker would be to do that?
Let me go in there. And, maybe he'd, I don't know what he would do, but I don't know. It's hard to know. What a weird situation. Hard to know where he might end up. It could be somewhere where he has to be a backup. But the problem is he makes $18 million. You're going to have an $18 million backup? I don't think so. So I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point. Yeah. Everywhere, because it's taken so long. I mean, you could say the Saints, right? But the Saints now have Jameis and Andy Dalton. They don't want Baker now.
Right. I don't think Baker's all that hot of a commodity, man. You know what I mean?
I don't think so either.
I think he's going to have a tough time getting that starting job. He might have to do the long road now.
Somebody said the Panthers in the chat. I mean, the Panthers already have one $18 million quarterback named Darnold. What are they going to do? Have $36 million invested in quarterbacks? That's not good for salary cap. That
can't play. Yeah, get Josh Rosen too. Bring them all in. The whole 2018 quarterback class. All right, so let's bring Watts UK and Jeremy on. We got some stuff. I see another super chat too. I'll get their opinion on it. You guys ready? I don't want to bring you up if you got, whipped cream in your face or something. All right, Watts UK, here he is, and Jeremy. What's up, dudes? How you guys doing?
What's up? Fantastic. How you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for cleaning up all the sex boys stuff. I appreciate it.
It's not like Frankie doesn't do that every weekend, but for the sake of the chat, we thought we should clean it out.
Good idea.
Right. Well, hey, we do what we do when we're not working, right? I go all over the place. So what do you guys, number one, Baker Mayfield, I'm curious. Watch UK, what do you think of the Baker Mayfield? Do you see anybody signing him to be a starter?
It's pretty interesting. I'm going to give you kind of a personal connection. Like one of the other officers in the Virginia Jets fans group, my friend Tommy, he is without a doubt the biggest Baker Mayfield groupie in the world outside of Baker Mayfield's wife. He is still to this day looking for ways to come up with a trade proposal to get Baker Mayfield to the Jets. And the longer this goes on, the more hope he has that Baker Mayfield will somehow be a Jet. Even when I put a poll up today, I said, guys, what do you want to see the Jets do? I put this up in our Facebook group. I put down this defensive end. I put wide receiver. I put cornerback. And he writes down, you know what I want to say. I said, Baker Mayfield is not an option. What is the appeal about Baker Mayfield other than that he does a pretty good commercial?
Yeah, right. Progressive or whatever it is.
And he'll still be a decent quarterback if he's surrounded by enough pieces, which I think is about the same level that Sam Darnold is on. When even in the last 2 years, Cleveland, we kept hearing, well, how good is Cleveland? They said, they're really just a quarterback away from being a really good team. Well, they got their quarterback right now, and now Baker Mayfield is basically in no man's land. So he's almost like Mark Sanchez, where you need the team to lift him up rather than Baker Mayfield lift the rest of the team up. That's my
yeah. Point. Well, it's interesting. I don't think Baker Mayfield's coming either. There was a chat comment that said talking about Olave's yards after the catch. 1.7 yards. I will acknowledge that, and I will call that, and I will raise you 13 touchdowns last year. So he's got something like 35 touchdowns in his college career. So you don't get a lot of yards after the catch in the end zone. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it goes. And
that is his weakness. The person who said that was right. That's his weak point. Olave.
That's his weak point. He's still got 65 touchdowns for 13 touchdowns. So that's the thing with Olave is that, everybody's got their downside. If if all he's got to do is get open and catch it, I'm happy. You know what I mean? That's good for me. Again, I really like Olave. I think he's got more than 10 minutes of college production. I always get nervous when guys have 1 year. Anyway. So Mitt Flair checking in. Which wide receiver would you feel comfortable with at 10? Jeremy, what do you think? You're a Jameson Williams guy, I think. Is that you're not scared at all?
I'm not really that scared. I am not only Jameson Williams. Olave is good with me too. I wouldn't be upset if because again, and you've said this, we've all said this. If JD was to take Olave, even though I don't see it right now, like compared to Williams, I would trust that they know a lot more than me. They're a lot smarter than me. And I trust this organization now. I trust JD. I trust that team. If they take Olave, that tells me they believe he's going to be great. I love what they did with Elijah Moore. So if they were to invest the 10 pick on him, I would trust them that he's going to be special.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, whoever they like, if they do go wide receiver at 10, the good news is more than likely you do have maybe Atlanta taking one or whatever, but more than likely you're going to get your number one guy. If not your number one guy, your number two guy. So that's the positive, right, of them grabbing a receiver that high. Again, I'm not convinced that they have them separated all that much. I see a lot of the same traits and potential in the guys later in the group than earlier in the group. So that's it, Mitt Flair. There you go. Mr. D checking in. Have you guys watched Chris Sims' take on the top 5 edge? If you haven't, I think you should. What he says makes a lot of sense. I watched some of it, and I do know I got to finish it. But any thoughts, Frankie? What do you think about Chris Sims' justification for guys like Benito and Pascal and all that? What do you think of this?
Well, the first thing I would say is what's Chris Sims' track record on getting defensive ends right, the edge position correct? We know he's pretty good with we know he's pretty good with quarterbacks. But last year, for example, he had De'Ami Brown over Jalen Waddle at wide receiver, so that makes you go, it's not so good. Now, so I don't know. I think what he says makes a lot of sense. Like maybe Nick Benito's being slept on a little bit. And Nick Benito, by the way, seems like maybe somebody that we could take a look at in the second round if he slips that far. Maybe. So he seems like the kind of guy that Saleh would love, because then you got to start thinking about scheme fit. Is he going to fit into a New England style defense or a Jet style defense? And you want the guy who is an attacker instead of a reader on the Jets defense instead of New England. So that type of thing. But yeah, a lot of it depends on where they go and what you need, what your style is.
Well, let's see. In 2020, this is 2019. What the hell just happened here? He had Mekhi Becton as the second-rated tackle, which I still agree with. Some reason it all went dark on me here. Let's see. He had Jedrick Wills first and Mekhi Becton second. Let me see who is edge. Where is it? Edge. He had Chase Young, number 1. That's obvious. He had Kayvon Chaisson at 2. AJ Epineza, Terrell Lewis, and Yatir Gross-Matos. So AJ Epineza ended up on Buffalo. I don't think his stats were all that great, but I might be wrong.
No, Epineza is a disappointment to Buffalo fans. He's an okay player, but they thought they were getting a stud, and he hasn't turned out to be very studly.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I think he does, like Frankie said, he does better with the quarterbacks. I mean, and his real big claim to fame is the Lamar Jackson one. He did have Zach Wilson higher than Trevor Lawrence last year, so that's made a lot of Jets fans happy, and we'll see if that actually comes to pass. That would be good. So Mr. D checks back in and says KT as an edge is like the only edge that gets blocked by tight ends and running backs. I don't think it's that. I mean, you can look at first of all, that's not true. All edge rushers get blocked by tight ends from you know what I mean? It happens. There was that one clip going around of Kayvon Thibodeau getting blocked by a tight end. It happens. We were just talking about Denzel Mims blocking a defensive end. I mean, it happens. It's the angle and everything else. And some tight ends are good, and every single play you can't beat anybody. But Kayvon Thibodeau disrupts the game a lot. You know what I mean? He's like number 1 or number 2 in pressure and all that, so he doesn't have exactly the sack numbers. When you look at his stats, it doesn't exactly pop off and you go, ooh, this guy shouldn't be rated the top edge rusher. But I watched a lot of Thibodeau tape and he's in that backfield a whole bunch, man. So I think he does a lot more than the people looking at the stats would think, but again, every defensive end gets blocked by or edge rusher, or if they're outside linebacker, they all get blocked by tight ends from time to time. All of them. Any thoughts on that, Frankie?
I would just say go watch Joe Blewett's film breakdown. It's 40 minutes worth of plays, and you'll see KT what he does. And he's a big fan. So when you have someone who's as knowledgeable as Joe Blewett, give him the stamp of approval, that goes a long way with me. And he gives you 40 minutes plus, I think, of a breakdown of film where he's looking at many, many different plays and analyzing them from a technical point of view, telling him about his hand placement, his leverage, his bend, his foot placement, his speed to power, his bull rush, his strength, all of those things. And you have to take into account all of those things when you're trying to project someone, to the next level. And so I would say that's a good place to go as a starting point on, how you should start thinking about Kayvon Thibodeau.
Well, this next one's for Jeremy. Mr. D says he thinks I passed his other super chat. Is that accurate?
I think we got all 3. This is the third. Yeah, as far as I know, we got all 3.
Mr. D,
that came out
that's
right
the thing.
before. That came out
right.
Let's skip this one.
This is Y2K. What do you think about this one?
I don't think that super chat was memorable enough to where we had to go back to it. To be honest, I don't remember what the other one even said, but we noticed this one. So good job with this super chat, Mr. D. Well done.
Yeah. So we did get them, and we just talked about them. So sorry to make you freak out a little bit there, Mr. D. We do get them all, 99% of the time, and it just takes time. We go down the line. So anyway, thank you, Mr. D. We do appreciate it. So, Jeremy. What's that, Jeremy?
I was going to say, if they could only see in the background what goes on with these super
I know,
chats.
it's madness. It's madness.
Do you realize how many sex bots we have to get rid of just to filter out these super chats? It's a hard job here, guys.
It is. It's not easy. It's madness in the background. Jeremy and Y2K do a good job. Okay, Jeremy, why don't you do a little giveaway action here? And what are you giving away tonight?
Okay, so tonight, and I'm going to put my the link again in the chat again. For my channel. Tonight we're giving away right now, or whenever you're ready, a little later near the end of the show. First, we're going to start. A lot of people were talking about Patrick Ewing recently. I don't know why, but I have this nice Patrick Ewing collector's card. It's from like 1995, 96. It's called the Honor Roll from Skybox. And because he was a center, I decided to throw in some of his rivals at the time that played against him. So when the Knicks played the championship, they played against Akeem Olajuwon.
Olajuwon, yeah.
Throwing him in there. Also, one of the greatest, I think, of all time. I love this guy, David Robinson. So the winner is going to get all these cards. And then Mutombo, because I love the commercials, where he goes. So,
yeah.
So Mutombo. So we'll throw in Dickie. So it's basically all centers. That's the feature for tonight's giveaway. I also do want to say the reason I put my link into my channel for the future is I have this card I stumbled across. It's a Michael Jordan nuts and bolts card from 1995 to 96. It's card number 212. If you Google this, I am no expert. I can't figure out pricing. I've seen it for $30. I've seen it for $500. All I can tell you is out of the package into plastic. It is in mint condition. I'm going to give this away, but eventually. But I want to just say for this card, if you're interested in very serious cards that you collect that could be worth a lot of money, this one is going to be given away to one of my subscribers on my show at any random time. So make sure you subscribe if you like this stuff. Also, you might actually like my content too. So Watsuke is with me and we do a bunch of stuff. And even GreenBean makes it onto the show sometimes. But anyway, whenever you want to give away the basketball cards, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Run the contest. What are you going to do? A number from 1 to 1,000,000?
Yeah, well,
it shouldn't take long.
I think Frankie is always very reliable for a pen and paper. And everybody trusts Frankie and knows that everything is legit when Frankie isn't, kind of running it like this. So I know everybody trusts him.
All right. So how are we doing this?
So what do you want to do? A number from 1 to 25?
I think you got enough people in here.
This might take a while. We got 300 people in the chat, so we better raise that number a little bit.
Well, let's do hey, GreenBean, it's your show. If you'd rather have Adam do one of his trivia questions and the first person to guess it right, we can do that instead.
No, we'll do the trivia. We're not going to get it right. So it's going to just, let's pick a number from 1 to 100. And the first person that gets it wins the card. How's that sound?
Okay. Everybody watch the chat really carefully because this is hard to catch.
Don't guess yet. Put a number in the private chat, Jeremy.
I got the number written down.
Got the number. So Frankie.
Frankie's got the number?
Yeah.
Put it in the private chat so I can look for it with you.
Yeah, I don't want to put all the pressure on Frankie because it's hard to see. Okay.
You got it? Is it in there? There it is. Okay.
Yes.
Fire away, everybody. A number between 1 and 100. That excludes the number 0. Don't waste your guess on the number 0. I see they're going.
It's amazing how many people go right to 69. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. It's one of the popular ones.
Oh, I see it. Oh,
you see it? Who is it?
It ran up there. We got to slow it down so I can get up there. Jeez.
Oh my goodness. You guys are crazy.
Yeah, it just took off. You see that? That was fucking crazy.
I didn't see it, but if you did, all right, I believe you.
I see it. Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, okay.
My eyes are no good. I got to put my fucking glasses on. This is crazy.
I thought I saw it. So let me.
I'm gonna put my glasses on and make the face.
But I'll try.
No, I don't see it.
Let me scroll down.
I saw one that looked like it, but
okay. So all right. So no, I don't see. I'm scrolling down because I paused.
People are right around it. I see the people dancing.
Okay, not yet. Then I guess
I see a couple that are one away, but I don't see it yet. I'm still scrolling down. I don't see it, guys. I don't see it.
Okay. Oh, now I see it for sure. Phenom.
Yes, Phenom. I agree. Phenom,
who's a new subscriber to my channel from a couple of weeks ago, has been to a lot of our shows. I'm happy for him. Congratulations, Phenom. You are the winner of Patrick Ewing and the other centers of his era.
And at center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, Patrick Ewing.
Okay, let's see. Yeah,
there you go. Right. There you go. It's a good one. This is good, man. I had so much fun during the Patrick Ewing Knicks seasons, man. I've been to probably, 8 to 10 games at the Garden. Remember the fist fight with the Miami Heat, and they had to penalize and remove guys, suspend guys, different games. And remember Jeff Van Gundy hanging on Alonzo Mourning's leg?
It breaks my heart that Knicks didn't win a chance. If you haven't read Blood in the Garden, it's the new Chris Herring book about that whole 90s Knicks era. Go out and get that book. It's a fascinating book. There's like a whole chapter on Anthony Mason about his story and what made him as hard as he was. And man,
Anthony Mason was great.
Quite a story, man.
I loved Anthony. Yeah, what is it called? Blood in the Garden?
Blood in the Garden by
I'm gonna
Chris
get it.
Herring. Just came out a couple months ago. Yeah,
Chris Herring.
We could never get the team around Ewing. We could never get the right team.
No.
The perfect teammates. Such a
and
shame.
when we did, they all got suspended. I mean, when they had that mix, they had Starks, Houston, and Charles Oakley, John.
Yeah,
Wall.
I think if the
team they got suspended.
Well, remember there was a couple times, man. Remember when they had Spreewell and all that, and we could have won that game. He missed that last layup, and then there was the one where Ewing went up. All he had to do was jam it, and he rolled it, and it bounced off the back. And there was always something, and I think just playing against the Michael Jordan Bulls, it was just they had that team that was just better. And it sucks because they were a good team. Even like Anthony Mason was great, but when they traded Anthony Mason for Johnson,
Larry Johnson,
he was great too, man. I mean, they had good teams, and it was just never
Johnson
enough.
Got hurt in that last game against Indiana, and Ewing got hurt during the Eastern Conference Finals against Indiana. They just could not hold up against Tim Duncan and David Robinson in that finals.
Yeah, and then I mean, remember that game that. Reggie, what the hell was his name? The Indiana
Miller?
Pacers. Reggie Miller scored like 9 points in 5 seconds. Remember that?
Scumbag. I hated that guy so much.
Me too. I hated him.
And I hated Spike Lee.
What was up with Spike Lee? Vomit.
No, what was up with Spike Lee? It was like, Spike, sit down, shut up. Don't egg the guy on. What are you doing? Shut up, sit down. He kept egging him on. And you don't egg on Reggie Miller. He's going to hit a 5-point shot.
And
I know.
All things holy. If I got to see one more replay of John Starks going down the baseline in the 93 Eastern Conference Finals with the dunk in Game 2, does anybody realize they lost the next 4 games to Chicago and lost the series?
I know.
It was a hell of a dunk, though. It was a hell of a dunk.
I'm sick of the dunk.
It's a hell of a dunk, though.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get that book. That was a really fun time to be a Knicks fan, and that was when I told you guys I was a diehard Nets fan, but the Nets were so embarrassing for so long that I watched the Knicks and I fell in love with them too. It's hard to be a Knicks and Nets fan, but I was, sincerely. And then when the Nets, dude, it all started with Stephon Marbury, trading him for Cassell and Brady and all that, and then they made all those trades, and they had that team went to 2 championships. And they just couldn't win, but they were good with Kmart and Jason Kidd and Jefferson and all those guys. Another good team. They were fun too. But anyway, I've always been disappointed with my basketball, so that's why I stopped watching.
Disappointed with all my teams for the last 28 years.
I know, dude. I haven't won shit, man. Nothing.
Yeah,
I've won nothing. The Yankees.
It's
to
the point when the U.S. wins a gold medal and something, I have to take that as a victory. It's so depressing.
Right. So speaking of Y2K making me laugh over here, what is your trivia question for tonight?
You know what? I got a couple of different ways that I could go here. I got some draft-related trivia questions that I've been saving up here. I think this one's going to be all right. I've given you some tough ones the last couple of weeks. I'm going to go with one. I'm only going to ask for one answer tonight. Before I've asked for 9 answers, guys, I'm not going to do that tonight.
We're
just going to ask for one name. One name. That's all. So
let's do it.
I think we could do it. Name the only Jet who made the Pro Bowl that was selected after pick number 300 in an NFL draft.
All right. The only player who's ever made a Pro Bowl after being picked after pick 300?
That's right. It was
Larry Johnson.
Number 300 by the Jets, and he made a Pro Bowl. There's only
by the
one
Jets.
player who did it. Yep.
By the Jets.
He was a Jet. Drafted by the Jets,
okay.
and it was a Jet.
All right, here's the rules. No Googling. Give us your answers, And let's see what you got. So the only Jet player picked after number 300 in the draft that made a Pro Bowl, Don Boyd Odegaard. No.
And this is not an undrafted free agent, so we're not talking about Wayne Corbett or Robbie Anderson or anything like that.
Kurt Springs, number 21. That's why I picked number 21 when I was a little kid. Kurt Springs.
Loved Springs? Him. Nope. Did not make a Pro Bowl.
Jake is hurting his head right now.
Who are our Nets? New York does not give a rip about the Nets. They're a national team. New York does not care about the Nets, and they never will. What are you
talking about? They're Brooklyn.
Let's make that clear. It's Snoopy, okay?
No. The Nets are
the Nets are not a New York team. They never were.
Of course they are.
Not since
they started in New York.
Playing for them way back in the 70s.
They started in New York.
Back then, yes, not now. All right, I'm looking at the chat. I don't see the name. I don't see the name yet.
Bruce Harper?
No. This is not a special teams player. So maybe that'll help you a little bit.
I don't know. What year? Give us the year.
This was in 1189. Paris just got it. This was in the early 1980s.
Joe Fields?
Joe Fields. It was Joe Fields. Yes.
Wow, I love Joe Fields.
And in 1975, he was the 349th pick in the 1975 NFL draft. How about that?
Wow. 300. Yeah. Dude, and Joe Fields was a stud muffin. You see what I'm saying, man? You can get these guys. You got to know what you're looking at. Not that was definitely just luck because our Jets didn't know what they were looking at. So very cool. So yeah, congratulate. Who got it? Was it Paris?
1189 Paris. Yep.
Here you go, Paris. Paris rocking it tonight, man.
Yeah.
Very good. Good shit. So, all right, man. Well, look, dude, that was super cool, man. I tell you what, Joe Field, we've had a really strong list of centers in our history. It's quite amazing. We've managed to just get center after center. Now, the last since Mangold left, we have not had even McGovern has not been all that great. He's solid, but he hasn't been of the same pedigree. But like Joe Fields, Jim Sweeney, Kevin Mawai,
John Schmidt,
Nick Mangold.
That team. Can't forget John Schmidt.
I don't even remember John Schmidt. Who's
that?
His
name was center, so you got to throw him in. He was there for a long time.
Okay, John Schmidt. There you go. But so we've been lucky. And it's crazy. Like we just forget, like we've had great centers for years. I mean, we went from 8 years of Mawai to 11 years of Nick Mangold. That's just about 20 years without even thinking about the position. And now it's like we can't find one. And it's the craziest thing. It's very, very important, obviously. John Heibendahl, what's up, John? Checking in. He says, I'm calling it now. Walker at 4 and Wilson at 10. Great show, guys. Klecko for the Hall of Fame. What do you think the likelihood is? Frankie, Trayvon Walker at 4. What do you think?
Well, obviously it depends who's there, but yes, it could be Walker at 4 and Wilson at 10. There's no doubt about it. I would think that they would prefer not to have Walker just because he's a little bit of a project who may take a little bit of time to reach his potential, and I'm not sure they want to have that. I think they would much rather have KT. I don't know. On the other hand, Walker has such incredible traits, things you can't teach. They may think we're going to coach this kid up and he's going to be dynamite right off the bat. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. And Wilson at 10 is very possible. Like I said, it's probably one of those 3 top wide receivers, and I'm happy with any one of them. So
there you go. No, Jeremy is a Trayvon Walker fan. So what do you think? How likely is it, Jeremy?
Is that true, Jeremy? I didn't think you were, Jeremy.
I'm not a huge Trayvon Walker fan for the Jets. I was trying to say this was privately. What I was trying to say was I believe, whether you want to call it people, GMs believing the hype or whatever it is, I believe he really is going to go in the top 5. Like, I really do think it's going to happen. I don't think he's a good system fit for us. More than that, forget about system fit. I think he's too risky for us because we don't see enough evidence of pass rushing for him. But I think his ceiling is high. I do believe there's a really high ceiling because there's no evidence that he can't be a pass rusher, like a pure pass rusher. But there's not enough that he is to take him. But I was just saying, I do think he's going to go really high.
Yeah, I mean, I see an edge setter more than anything. I see Calvin Pace, that kind of a player, a good, useful NFL player, but I don't see that great difference maker, that playmaker that we need, that other teams need to game plan against and say, okay, how do we deal with this player? How are we going to counter him? We don't have anybody on our defense like that right now, and I don't think Trayvon Walker is that guy. I just don't.
Yeah, I struggle again. Like Frankie said, if they see the athletic ability and they think this guy is just, I mean, we can do so much with him, and they know how to use him right, then do it. You know, I would rather have a guy who's just a complete freak and dominates the. You know, I don't know, man. I'm starting to get so mixed up with these frigging guys anymore. It's just I don't even know who I want anymore. I'd love to see Hutch fall. And if they would take him there, I think he would be the best fit. I really do. But I wouldn't be surprised, man, if they have Karlaftis above a lot of these guys. I wouldn't be surprised. But it'll be interesting.
I wouldn't be sad about Karlaftis. I mean, whoever they take, right? They're going to know who's the perfect fit, aren't they? I mean, don't we trust our scouts and our coaching staff now, as opposed to the Gase regime? Right now, our coaches are good. At the very least, I think they're great, but they're at least competent and good. They're going to look at the tape on these guys and know which one's the best one, right? I mean, I think. Yeah,
well, that's the look. I have confidence in our scouting department, and I have confidence in Joe Douglas and our upper management, you know, the Chad Alexanders, the Phil Savages of the world. I have confidence. I think they're the best collection of football minds that we've had in this building ever. That's what I think. Dick Steinberg is also a very, very well respected general manager before he passed, and he did some good things. But I think that this is it. This is the best group we've ever had. So I do trust them. Now, the ability, I don't know how I feel about the coaches. I like Tony Oden. I like LaFleur. I don't know. And I like Robert Saleh, but I don't know. I'm not convinced that they know how to develop yet and all. I'm just not. I mean, I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just not convinced yet. I'm hopeful. Definitely hopeful. And I'd rather have them like they're at least a respectable organization. Like, look, us and the Jaguars went out and hired coaches last year. Jaguars blew they went for the big swing and it blew up so ridiculously. So that's not us anymore. And I appreciate that, you know? Respect. Get the respectability first. So I feel good about that. Johnny Meyerhall saying, Frankie, tell him about the rubber field. I think you might be talking about Jameson Williams. That was a little bit far back, but
well, we do have a rubber field, but half the league. One thing to keep in mind: we're not the only club with this field turf. It's called. We're not the only one. It's about half the league that plays with this stuff. So, obviously, it's something we have, and it's not good. And we need to do a petition to get them to change to grass and dirt. And by the way, that's what the Players Association wants for all the teams. But on the other hand, we can't let that prevent us from taking a guy who might get injured, because if you do that, then you're not going to take anybody, because every football player has been injured at some point or will be injured very soon. They all get injured. There's no such thing as an uninjured football player. I mean, the coach of the Titans, Mike Vrabel, said the injury rate for football players is 100%. So, right. I mean, they're going to, obviously they know we play on a field, and they're going to look at the medicals, and they're going to clear him or not, Jameson Williams. So if they don't clear him, he gets taken off the list. I mean, you got to trust your medical people.
Right. And we have to remember too, guys, like right before the season last year, Joe Douglas literally changed our entire medical department, not just medical, dietary, training, medical, rehab, like everything. So just like we would give a young player or a young coaching staff time to kind of install all of their philosophies and techniques and everything, I think we got to do the same thing with the medical staff. The hope is that we did the hard work now, and it'll pay off for years and years and years to come. Right. And maybe field turf will be a part of that. The Baltimore Ravens went grass too, so very recently. So, hey, it's not beyond the realm of possibility here. We just got to coerce our owner into putting in money into the stadium.
And we'll keep track of it. So I kept track of all the injuries last year. We were right in the middle of the league. We weren't more than anybody else. So we were average last year. We're going to take a look at it every single year, see what happens. And hopefully we see an improvement where the injuries are going down, down, down. And then if we can get a grass and dirt field, then we can really have something maybe.
Yeah, there you go. That would be good. And that's good information. Let's see where we are. Because during the Gase years, the 2 years with Gase, we were number 1 in the NFL over that 2-year period for injured players on injured reserve. So if we can start to see steady improvement upward, that would be fantastic. Because as we know, injuries, doesn't matter who you have if they're injured. Jetsfan, or it's actually Jetsfan, but I like to call you Yoitz. Trade up to late first Linderbaum. Well, that's a mock that just came out, Yoitz. So remember, just because a mock came out doesn't mean it's right. Now I don't know if I'd want to see a trade up for Linderbaum, like we said earlier. If he's there in the second, he's at least has to be considered. I don't know if I would trade up with him as my target, though. Okay, what do you think? You trading up for Linderbaum?
Whew, it's very intriguing because I feel like Linderbaum is far and away the best center that you could get in this draft. And if you believe in him that much and are willing to cut Connor McGovern and save $9 million, then, because if you trade Linderbaum, you're not going to keep Connor McGovern on this roster, which I know there's a very large segment of the Jets fan base that would be turning cartwheels if that were to happen. For me, if he was to go, he's one of those guys where for a while it sounded like he was going top 10, top 15. Now they're thinking back of the first round.
Yeah.
The more I'm thinking about it more and more, I could really see him dropping. And if he manages if he's one of those guys who manages to drop, if he goes to 35, you have to jump on that. I think that is a chance to get a very a special center. And I think that pretty much completes the offensive line. I'm very intrigued by that.
Yeah, and I would be blown away if he gets past the Bengals. Yoitz. So Jake checking in. This will be the last one. No more super chats for tonight, guys, because then I'm obligated to do it, and I'll keep staying around. I want to let these guys go to bed and celebrate Passover tomorrow. Seder. I know Y2K is big on that. So Jake checks in. And he says, piggybacking off that, how much does the garbage field save an owner? Not even accounting for what it costs an injury. Frankie, I'm going to defer this to you. Is there a numeric value that you can place on this saving wise?
Well, it's hard to, but Jake, I do have several videos on this on my channel. I think, and I've been in the risk management and worker safety field for decades now. And I think that in the long run, you can actually save money by going to the grass field because it costs you money for every player that gets injured that you have to bring somebody in and off your emergency list. Now you got to pay that player and you pay the injured player. In addition to that, you have the thing that people don't get is that your workers' compensation insurance premium is a function of how often your employees get injured and how seriously. And these are employees, keep in mind. They're not, so the Jets and all the teams, they have workers' compensation insurance, just like every employer in America. And so if you neglect these injuries and you just have all these injuries, the next year, your premium's going up, up, up. So I could go to Woody Johnson and make a pretty good case that, hey, if you put in grass and dirt, it's going to cost you a little more to maintain. I don't know what the exact number is, but I'm going to tell you that you're going to make that up in savings on your premium. You're going to get, you can also, how many fans are disgusted by how much these players get injured? How many fans are turned off to the NFL because when that cart comes out, here comes the cart again. And how many fans are like, you know what? This is too violent. I'm not watching. I'm not a fan anymore. How many fans are you losing and how much money does that represent year over year? I mean, there's a lot of money to be saved in employee safety, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. But look, it's not that we haven't tried this stuff. Years ago, they put in a grass field. It was a mess. Then they went with the grass plates, these trays, let's call them. They tried that. And that seemed like the greatest solution. There were documentaries made on this revolutionary system, and that didn't work either. That was a mess. And they went to this field turf. Remember, it was such an exciting thing that they had fans come in and take a handful of the rubber balls and put it all over the field. It was a big honor to get to do that. And so, it's hard to say exactly what they're going to do, but I'm sure there are numbers being collected. That much I can tell you. So let's see. We got two things here. Sean McAteer has a good question. You think we could let's say Linderbaum gets to 35 and we take him. What do you think we get for Connor McGovern in the draft? What do you think, Jeremy? You think we can get like a third?
The hard part would be his contract. Because it's, I mean, I'm not saying it's an awful, horrible.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but yeah, I hear you.
Bad, but it makes it a little harder because it's, because then you're giving up you're asking the other team to give up draft capital, like a third round pick, and they have to give, how many teams right now have the cap flexibility for like $9 million, right? So, but if there's a team that, it's a long time between now and the end of the season. If there's an injury, if somebody's center gets hurt in camp, because we see all the injuries and they got nobody, then yeah, I mean, somebody would give a third round, maybe even a second round if they're desperate enough, right? Because you don't want to go into the season, especially if it's a contending team, if your center suddenly gets hurt in camp. So yeah, I guess we could get a third round pick. I think that's a good estimation. I just think it's, the salary and always makes it a little bit harder if it's not like an amazing deal.
And if we do make a trade, I'm pretty confident it's going to be a draft pick in 2023, not 2020. It'll be next year. It's not going to be this year. It'll be 2022. So,
yeah.
Let me say this about Connor McGovern. When I go to scout school, I'm going to tell them my goals are I want to figure out how good Connor McGovern is or is not. This is one of the biggest debates that has been going on for the last year with Jets fans, and I can't figure it out whether I think he's okay. But if somebody said, well, prove it, Frankie. Yeah, what are you talking about? I'd be like, well, okay, well, let's watch some plays. Let's see. And he screws up sometimes. So I'm going to try to figure this out. I'm going to use Connor McGovern as my case study. That's what I'm going to tell the folks who are the teachers of the school. I'm going to say, I want Connor McGovern as a case study. Let's see what we see on film. I want to see technique-wise why he's either bad or good. I mean, PFF says he's better than average, but as we all know, PFF can't be trusted with their grades. So I want to figure it out. That's what I want to do.
The case for Connor McGovern.
The mystery
of
Connor
a show
McGovern.
like the pro McGovern and the anti McGovern, and just have them go back and forth. They can go at it all night. It would be something else.
Yeah. Well, hey, it'll be what we figure out. The draft is 2 weeks away, guys. Let us relish in that and just keep staying engaged, right? Keep your nose to it and try to learn as much as you can so you can understand exactly what it is that we end up doing. Why did we go that route? What did they see? What do they want to accomplish? It's a lot more fun when you understand a little bit and it's not just a bunch of random names, in my opinion. And I think that's what we're doing here. So I want to thank everybody for a great show. I want to tell you guys, all the information of the panel is in the description of this video. Right below where you're watching right now, there is information. Frankie from Flatbush has his YouTube channel, Frankie from Flatbush. What's coming up, Frankie? Got a big video you want to let everybody know?
Well, tomorrow we got the Friday Quick Thought. So that's going to be something about the rules. So you're going to have to open your mind real wide. You're going to have to get past your anti-change bias. I propose a rule change in that video tomorrow morning. So that'll be interesting. And then we have our live shows. I'm going to do a live show at 6 p.m. on Friday tomorrow to see if there's any interest in that. So if anybody wants to hang out tomorrow at 6 to 7 p.m. And then we'll do Saturday morning as normal, Coffee with Frankie. And then I'll probably do a reaction to a mock draft on Sunday. So those are the things coming up on the channel.
There you go. Frankie from Flatbush. The link is in the description as well, or you can just type into the search engine Frankie from Flatbush. It'll get you there. Jeremy, what do you got coming up, man? NFL Chaos with Jeremy.
Yeah, we got tomorrow night. We're doing our Friday hangout night. It's a few hours after Frankie's show. It's more for the late guys, people staying up late. We'll be on. If you come back from the bar or going out on a Friday night, we'll be there. Nick Shine will be there. I know we're going to have the return of Dom C tomorrow. He's been away. He's been away, but he's back. And every Sunday night, we do assessments of players, player analysis. We got a fun theme set up for Sunday that we're working on. We're going to talk about worst case and best case scenarios in the draft. And the Wacky Wednesday show with Adam every Wednesday. So 3 shows a week. And that's at NFL Cast with Jeremy. And of course, we have the giveaways because I just can't stop giving stuff away. I'm addicted to it.
Right. There you go. And Adam is Wa2K. If you didn't know that, that's who he's talking about. So you can catch them on Wacky Wednesday on NFL Chaos with Jeremy. Wa2K is also the president of the Virginia Jets fan club. Any events coming up before the season? You guys doing anything for the draft?
Yeah, we have a draft party at AJ Gators Thursday nights. So we're pretty pumped up about that. I think we're actually arranging an axe throwing event for May. We're trying to have a full off season again, which we haven't been able to do in a couple of years because of the pandemic. We're trying to do a monthly off season, so it's not just the games themselves. We have an event during every month. So we're planning on a Norfolk Tides baseball game, probably Norfolk versus Syracuse. So you get the Tides against the Mets. So that's going to bring out some folks. It's going to be super exciting. And we always have Family Fun Day. That's usually in July. That's like an outdoor pool party that one of the guys hosts. He actually has a pool and he has a hot tub. So yeah, and there's always plenty of Fireball. So if you like Fireball, the Virginia Jets fans is a pretty good group for you.
There you go. And that's at AJ Gators. If you're in, anywhere in Eastern Virginia looking for a place to commune with other Jets fans, no place better, man. Great group of people, great food, everything. Good time. AJ Gators in Norfolk. So Wild Billy Boy with the last super chat of the night came in late again. Can't wait to listen. Love you guys and go Jets. Well, thank you, Wild Billy Boy. We appreciate it. And I'm glad you at least got to pop in and say hello. That is going to do it, everybody. Have a good night. I want to just mention, I want to thank Sonia for coming in. She's a Browns fan, and she popped in at the end there. It's always good to have you here, Sonia. It's great to have respectful fans from other teams. There's nothing wrong with people rooting for teams other than the Jets and being cool about it. It's when you're jerks that we don't like. So Sonia's always welcome, and I'm glad you're here, Sonia. That's going to do it, everybody. Have a great night. We will see you next time. If you're one of those Jets fans going to our players' pages and ripping them, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to say, you're an asshole. I just want to tell you that. You might not know you're an asshole, but you are. I'm going to tell you, you are an asshole. Now, having issues with players, never a problem. You can feel any way that you want. But going to our own players' page and calling them names, fat, you're a bust, whatever it is, dude, that is absolutely outside of the normal paradigm of being a fan. You should not be doing that. You are an asshole. Okay? I'm not going to waver from that stance. That's where I stand. You're an asshole and you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby. I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.